I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
Thing is, you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right. 125 gets share. You do that 3 times. Get mashed down to the dollar rate for perpetuity.
Yes.
So there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get some exposure, hit me up at itsori@gmail.com. I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just
rubbish.
Rubbish.
That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft. And dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed, and a child shall lead them. Vinny is on his way. We are doing a very interesting stream today and tomorrow. We are going to be doing a Savatage album listen. We're doing half today, and then we're doing the other half tomorrow, with a song breakdown in between each song. So this should be interesting. This is for the big homie Mojo. He's got some stuff to say here, but I am actually going to wait for Vinny to show up so he can hear it as well. So how is everybody today? I had to get my blood work today to find out if I have gestational diabetes, which is basically just diabetes that you get while you're pregnant. I get it every single pregnancy, and it's a hassle because you got to check your blood all the time, blah, blah, blah. I'm really crossing my fingers, praying, hoping that I don't have gestational diabetes this time, but I don't know. Okay, let me just take a... He said this didn't need to be read on the stream. Excuse me. Oh, okay. So yeah, so that was today. Let me go to YouTube Studio. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time is when we're going to do the second stream. This one was supposed to be at that time. We had some complications. My doctor left apparently, like, we have 2 hospitals close by our house. One hospital closed their maternity ward, and so everybody's getting sent over to the other hospital. So everything's like this jumbled mess. So they called me at the other hospital. They were like, make sure you go get your blood work done, blah, blah, blah. So I went to go get the blood work done. And when I got there, they're like, there's no labs here for you. I'm like, are you serious? So I spent an hour waiting. It was like this big giant process. Finally, Vinny was like, why should we keep waiting? Let's just leave and do it another day. So we left. And after we had been gone like for 25 minutes, they called me back. They were like, oh, we have the lab work now. So went back. You have to drink this drink that is like super, super sweet. Kids would love it. Basically tastes like flat orange soda. And then you wait an hour, and it's like has a high sugar content. So then you go back in an hour, they draw your blood, and then they check to see if your sugar levels were elevated or if your body was able to handle that sugar intake. So crossing my fingers on that, really hoping that I don't have gestational diabetes. I don't feel as bad as I usually do when I do that drink, so I'm kind of hoping like maybe there's a chance, but I don't know. We've got soon as Vinny gets up in here, we'll start the stream. So like I said, we were supposed to start at 6. Thanks, Kevin. BC, I wish I was in your situation. But yeah, so I'm like, it just took us a long time to get back home, and so that kind of threw us for a loop there. But we're good. We're here. Is Mojo here? Mojo. Oh, there you are. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, Dwayne, it's a Mojo stream. He's doing the whole Savatage album, one of their albums, today and tomorrow. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to start again. Yeah, apparently he must have started early, Dwayne, because, I don't know. It's still early, I guess, in the evening to be having all that. I'm eating an awesome pasta salad that Zoe made for me. Uh-oh. Yeah, I just released that box song. And I'm like, I am definitely going to go into that comment section. Because I know there's going to be a lot of angry people. But it'll be funny to read. So, hopefully... Jeez. Hi. What? Did you make sure that curtain is closed? So we're not cooling the house, we're just cooling the hallway to get to their baby's room?
Not a concern. Alright guys, here we go! Did we read the intro yet?
No, because I wanted you to hear it. And I'm sure he does too.
Okay, type 22 if you can hear us, ladies and gents. 22 if you can hear us.
Oh, they didn't say that they weren't hearing me.
What the hell just happened? Oh.
Dwayne, you did? I'm sure it's going to be interesting. Oop.
Let's try this again. Try again.
Oh, Zombieholic, we'll pray that goes good for you.
Everything good with Zombieholic?
An appointment for a CT scan for the heart. So,
okay.
On the 22nd of August, so we can be in prayer for that.
Okay. You might want to move the camera this way a little bit.
Can you? Because I've got a lot of things propping me up right now. You probably could go a little more than that.
That's fine.
Okay. Detail for part 1 is below from the homie Mojo. I know the intro is a bit long, but I feel the backstory to this album, how this album came to be, is important. The upside is there's almost no commentary from between songs. Part 1 of 2 streams. Sorry for the long intro, but after this, commentary by me between songs will be minimal. At least for one part. I'd rather just let the songs speak for themselves. Streets, a rock opera, is the first of 4 concept records released by the band Savatage. And I do consider it more of a concept record than a true rock opera, as the title implies. The reason is that, in my opinion, only the first half of the record was written and performed as a rock opera. In the second half of the narrative style and writing changes for most of the songs and is no longer that operatic, how would you say that, operatic feel?
Huh?
Operatic feel?
Operatic feel?
Operatic feel to it. The story for Streets was written by Paul O'Neill. Paul began working with Savatage as their producer in 1987 with the Hall of the Mountain King album, and he would go on to produce every album the band released from that point forward. When he met the band in the mid-80s, they had just completed a disastrous album tour cycle that left the band broke and heavily in debt due to their management absconding.
Yeah.
What's that?
Abandoning, basically.
With every penny the band had made up to that point. Wow. And with no prospects for the future, the band was on the verge of breaking up.
Oh,
That's
my
terrible.
Gosh.
Paul was a producer and writer from New York City. He had a vision and a dream of creating a band capable of playing virtually any type of music, from metal to classical to Broadway. He saw something in Savatage's early works. He saw something he could work with and possibly mold into the band he dreamed of creating. He convinced John and Chris to keep the band together and stick it out. His vision would be fully realized a decade later when Savatage became the foundation that the Trans-Siberian Orchestra was built on. Holy moly.
That's because of them?
Yeah. In order to convince John and Chris he was serious, in a show of good faith, he paid off all the band's debt and set them up in a lavish rehearsal studio and told them, now go write the Savatage record you've always wanted to write. Oh, that's really cute. This is how the band's long-term working relationship with Paul started, and it's how the Hall of the Mountain King record came to be. In 1989, while beginning work on their follow-up to Hall of the Mountain King, Chris finds a draft of a play Paul had written. After reading the story, Chris brings the manuscript to John and Paul and said, I think this is our next record. After a bit of consideration, they decided they were not yet ready to do a rock opera and decided to save the idea for the next record. They did, however, use the title of the play as the title for their second album with Paul, Gutter Ballad. In the story that Paul originally wrote, the protagonist was a painter. When they began work on their third album with Paul, the story was tweaked a little bit and the protagonist changed from a painter to a musician. Streets tells the story of the rise and fall and redemption of a drug dealer turned rock star turned addict. Most of the songs in part one are sung in either first or third person.
A rock star? Wait, a drug dealer turned rock star turned addict?
Drug dealer, rock star, addict.
Holy shit, what a story arc. Okay.
Yeah. Most of the songs in part one are sung either in first or third person, and the story in part one is pretty easy to follow by just listening to the lyrics. So there won't be much commentary from me between songs. It's also worth mentioning that the story as recorded was not meant to be autobiographical, but there are a lot of parallels between the protagonist in his story and John. John has suffered a lot of tragedy and has had a lifelong struggle with substance abuse. I will also send you the complete story as it appears in the linear notes. Sorry, I don't expect you to read that in the stream. It's strictly for reference if you choose to use it. It's not long. In fact, it's probably shorter than this intro turned out to be. It could be debated that this is the band's greatest work. In my opinion, it is without a doubt their best concept album out of the four, but by no means perfect, and we'll get to its flaws in part two. Track 1 on the record, Streets, serves as a prologue for the story. The story actually starts on track 2 after a narration. Originally, Paul O'Neill and the band had recorded a narration between every song. Wow. When they submitted that version to the record label, they hated it, and they refused to put the record out in that format. The band was able to negotiate the single narration before track 2. I'm not one to side with record labels over artists very often, but those narrations are available on YouTube. I've listened to them, and I think dropping them was the right call. Sorry again for the backstory. Now let's go!
Okay, just for everybody's understanding, you have to invest all that time. I don't want to put any pressure on anybody, but Mojo, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Getting that historical context for the song, because you guys know how I am with the lyric breakdown and things like that. We don't look up song meanings because we want to keep the review raw, but I do like having that kind of exoskeleton figured out before
I love it.
The other stuff gets folded. So thank you very much. If all future DJs, please don't worry, we're not saying everybody has to do that.
No.
I'm just saying when it does get done, I really appreciate it. So thank you very much, Revo. Mojo.
You know me. I could go either way on it. When I have it, the little intros, I'm like, oh, this is cool because it kind of gives you a backstory. And when I don't have it, I'm fine with that too because it's like, all right, let's just get into the music. So both are completely good, whatever it is that the DJ decides. But yeah, let's start this album review.
All right, guys, here he goes. Unbelievable. 275.
Wait, are you hearing something?
I can't even believe that. That's kind of like
he's like unbelievable. I'm like, I hear nothing.
What happened with Nipsey, but unbelievable. Mojo's been listening to this album for 30 years, and the first 25 seconds of the first track still raises the hair on the back of my neck. All right, well,
Okay.
Streets, Savatage, a rock opera. Song number 1 is Streets. Let's do this shit. Let's go.
gardens bloom and grow. Children awaken to a world they know. Somewhere there's sunshine, somewhere the lights shine, somewhere they seek the day. Somewhere there's no scene, somewhere the air's clean, but somewhere so far away. These streets glitter in the dark. Don't sleep. Red eyes, sun gets dark. Train game. Where you're safe. These streets still they never wait.
spooky as hell, bro.
Well done. Wow. Okay.
All right, that was
that's a
song,
good first song.
numero uno
Yes.
by Streets by Savatage. First of all, that made that what's his face is just talking about it. Daniel, big riff, he says. Yeah, exactly, exactly. That riff was crazy. I've heard that progression. Dun 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 dun. I've heard that progression before, but I've never heard that kind of vocal arrangement put on top of it.
Oh yeah, I liked it. I thought like the background vocals, like with his kind of being like in the front, and then their like eerie vocals in the back. I thought that was a nice add to it.
Yeah. And then they had the kids there in the orchestra, which is always
spooky.
It always adds like a layer of like, remember in the Passion of the Christ when they had the Judas character and the demons were kids, and it was just like really off-putting. Like anytime you put kids into something that's like not it just makes it a lot more eerie.
I agree.
I was watching
Kids
this.
are creepy.
I was watching this YouTube clip, and it had like the top 5 times that kids terrified their children, or something like that. I mean, kids terrified their parents.
Oh.
And like, his mom told a story one time. She was going in to check on the kids at night or whatever, and the kid was standing in the pitch black room with his his diaper and his little blanket, and he was staring, like, when she turned on the light, he was staring straight at the wall.
Oh my God.
And she was like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, kids are just like, they're just weird. They're terrifying.
Yeah, I won't say who it was, but when I was a baby, there was a child that was in the vicinity of me, and I was in my little, they used to have, the pack and plays, they had like the mesh sides, which a lot of them still kind of do.
Yeah.
And the kid, like the woman that was there watching me, like had a very small kitchen, and so she like literally was chopping stuff over here, and like the over there was the refrigerator. So she left the knife over there chopping the onions, went to get something from the fridge, turned back and the knife was gone. She was like, "What's going on?" And so she thought, she must have misplaced it, must be by the fridge. And then all of a sudden she heard me screaming in the other room. So she takes off running down there. And when she walks in the room, the older kid was standing in the corner of the room, just holding the knife like this, just
that's what I'm
looking
saying.
dead at her.
That's what I'm saying.
And she was like, she was terrified. She checked me all over, and there was a little pin drop of blood right here. Boop.
So you're a stabbing victim. You're a victim
I
of a
was.
stabbing. Why don't white crime?
I survived.
Why don't white crime?
Well, how do you know it was a white kid that did that to me?
Oh.
It was.
I'm sure. Well,
It
I'm sure
was.
if it was a black kid, you would have said that shit.
So anyway, yeah, the lady was pretty. The lady was pretty scared.
Me.
She was like, "I think this child needs to go to the hospital." Not the stabbing victim, but the one who did the stabbing.
But the mentally ill one that did the stabbing.
That was standing there in the corner with the knife. That was what made it like
smokes.
next level, Anyway, so is this the start of that? Like, are we talking about the streets because this guy started out as a drug dealer? Is he talking about that?
Yeah, it goes from drug dealer, rock star, drug addict.
Yeah.
is the arc of the story.
So right now we're on the streets.
Yeah, you're just introducing the streets and like what's going on in this guy's mind.
You
and all
remember that
jazz.
song? Like, we were not allowed to listen to it, but once in a while it would come on. I always really like secretly liked it. There's one. It's like, I'm a lover, I'm a saint, I'm a sinner, I'm a bitch, I'm a like. There's all these.
I Am King one.
No,
girl
this is an
calling
old
herself
one,
the king?
babe.
Oh, the I'm a lover, I'm a this,
That one, yeah.
I'm a bitch, I'm a
Yeah. So when it came to I'm a runner, I'm a sinner, I've been inside my head, it reminded me of that song, like when it kind of hit that point.
Oh, okay.
But he didn't bite off that. He did his own thing. But
Okay,
I liked the part when he said, "I've been a runner, I've been a sinner, I've been inside my head, I sit here staring, never quite caring, and this is where it's led." The inside my head part.
Yeah. These streets glitter in the dark, don't sleep, red eyes sunken and stark, dream deep. I love what they did with the rhyme scheme here, because again,
Why?
these streets glitter in the dark, don't sleep, red eyes sunken in the dark, dream deep. Like the way they did it with the cadence, like, I know not everything has to
When
rhyme.
they did red eyes sunken and stark, it had like this sort of like.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I know not every song has to rhyme, like, for it to be good or whatever, or poetry or whatever. And most of the top poetry is not in rhyme. It's mostly about the meter. But at the same time, like, me having a hip hop background, I'm always drawn to things that rhyme. Like, I'm always drawn to the rhyming, especially if it's a complex rhyme scheme.
Yeah.
The rhyme scheme isn't complex, but the way they did it was like the the cadence was almost an instrument in itself because it was like.
Oh no, it
"Don't
definitely
speak,
was. Yeah.
Like
I
that
was
is
thinking,
so.
I wonder how long this would take us to learn.
Well, I
it
think
seems like so easy.
Yeah, the
but
guitar.
then
The guitar
sometimes-
parts I think are pretty easy.
I'm
to
talking about
learn.
the singing parts. I'm like,
Oh boy.
it seems so simple, but then I'm like, that means it's really complicated.
Well, no, actually, I think you'd be able to rock this one out pretty quickly because you're looking at it as the whole picture.
Yeah, because it's all completed already.
I've
Yeah.
been a runner, I've been a sitter, I've been inside my head. These streets glitter in the dark. Somewhere out there, gardens bloom and grow. Children awaken to a world they know. Somewhere the sun shines, somewhere the light's kind. Somewhere they seek the day. That's interesting. Somewhere they seek the day. Because really, a lot of times in the street, you are waiting for nightfall to happen. Like, it was so crazy. Like, I shot up a picture of me in high school. I found one of those pictures of me in high school.
It's up on Instagram, right?
And yeah, it's up on Instagram. And like, there's a camera,
Yeah.
right? I didn't even remember that, but yeah, there were cameras there. So in case you got whatever. There were no cameras in the locker room though, and there were no cameras.
Well,
like,
yeah. How could there be?
outside the track? But yeah, there were cameras on every floor. I remember looking. I was looking at that picture. I'm like, holy shit. But like, when you're in that kind of environment, there is this sort of like.
Dwayne.
That skinny kid, that was Vinny. But yeah, like the that's why I was. But I had to have other things to equalize. You know what I'm saying? But like. There is always like this phantom kind of stalking you when you're in the city, because at least for me, it was either like behind you, like dudes were coming to get you because you didn't have anything on you, and you were like, it's a really terrible feeling, like walk out in the city and things like that, especially going to certain areas and you don't have anything on you. It's a really not very good experience. If you do have something on you, you're not really worried about those people.
Yeah.
But then the back of your mind, now you have to worry about the cops because they could jam you up
That's
and whatever,
the thing.
whatever.
There's always stress everywhere you look.
So like if you look here where he says somewhere somewhere they seek the day.
Yeah.
That to me was pretty serious because there was a lot of shit that would happen at night and we would wait because you always had eyes on you, cops, whatever, and the cameras. I forgot about the cameras. So a lot of times, like, you would wait till nightfall to do your shit because you're trying to get away from, So that line was pretty crazy. It just reminded me of like going to school and everything.
I'm pretty sure there's a Bible verse that talks about that too.
Well, there's one that says when it's day you'll wish it was night, and when it's night you wish it was day.
No, I thought that there was another one like in Proverbs or something. I'm pretty sure my dad used to point it out to us. Like, it was basically some people they seek the night because their deeds are hidden in darkness.
Oh. A light came into the world, but men love darkness because of deeds.
It was a proverb. Anyway.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, it was true.
Yeah.
Like we did.
He
we
says
we would wait for nightfall to happen to do our shit.
Somewhere the sun shines, somewhere the light's kind.
Right.
So there was like
somewhere they seek the day.
Yeah. So that like somewhere the light is kind, like to me that. So you think he's talking about all of like the cops and all the different stuff that happens during the day, or what? Why do you think he said the light is kind?
No, I just think that it's actually called light pollution. But one of the hallmarks of the city, especially New York, is that it's lit up 24/7, but the lights are they're almost harsh in a sense because they're trying to compete for attention.
Yeah.
Because the other business has lights too, and what people don't realize is like New York is a big city because of the population, not because of the landmass. So like everybody's on top of each other. And they're all trying to compete and get your attention, so the lights are just insane. And when you first go, it's like, oh wow, the city that never sleeps, blah blah blah. But after a while, it becomes part of the landscape that you don't like. Like I remember the first couple days in Maine, and I was just walking out, and I just like I couldn't put my finger on what was so different. And then my brother said, like, you know, there's no lights, I mean, there were street lights, but it wasn't like how it was. It was just a nonstop assault. So it's light, but it's not kind light. It's almost like everything else in the city. It has an agenda.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like everybody has,
and it's like a very white light because
agenda.
they're just trying to put light everywhere.
Yeah.
So there is a white light, and then there's all these other lights that are, like you said, competing for your attention and stuff like that. Although, as horrible as that is, like, I crave that here in this city because it's so dark, and even when we take our drives, like, we're just driving through just like so much darkness, and it's, for me, I'm not a fan of all the darkness. I would love to drive if there was like a whole friggin' city lit up like that and I could drive through the city. The problem is that you would never be able to drive. I know,
in a traffic jam.
Oh, I know, exactly.
Right? Like
exactly.
There's always a trade-off. But I thought, like, to start this off as a concept record and to, you know, I thought it was like the perfect introduction. And it kind of sets the tone because you have those big guitars. Dun, 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 dun. Like everybody said, it's a very common progression. But what they did on top of it, putting kids on there, spooky, it sets the theme. Like a lot of, like, I feel like...
When was this released? Oh, 91.
The first song...
His voice has an 80s sound to it,
100%,
right?
100%. And they still kind of looked 80s in that one. But, like, I think a lot of bands miss out on this. I first learned this lesson from Korn. The first song was always a song that just grabbed you, like Korn Blind. That was the first song on that record. The first song on the second record from Peachy was Twist. So you just hit your tape in, and then all of a sudden you heard... So, like, it just caught you. Like, there was something about it that caught you. Follow the Leader. They had It's On, which is one of their heaviest songs. Like, they just catch you right from the Falling Away From Me in the next record. So they just caught you right from the beginning. Like, and I think a lot of bands don't understand that principle, but this band definitely did, at least with this one. What's up, 275? At least with this one, they figured it out. Like, yo, this is how you do it. So, really good first song. A 9.3 for me for the first one.
This was a 9.8 for me. I really liked it.
Holy shit, the big homie 7 Dusted in the house, my brother. Okay, you're going to have a really good time. We're doing an entire album review, my guy.
Okay, up next is Jesus Saves. So let's
Jesus Saves is next. I agree. Jesus might need to save Trump because they just raided his house. And
they did.
FBI just raided his Mar-a-Lago estate. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone. If I wasn't doing this, we would be doing a Middle America live stream immediately. Commercial break, we shall return. I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you hit me up at itsori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish. Rubbish. That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village. Facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Back on a second. There we go. Say
Steven,
something.
look at the damn chat. There's a delay, Steven. We're not idiots.
All right. What about now? Can you guys hear us now? Type
Hey,
if you can hear us so we can do our whole introduction again. How did Americans get to the moon?
We did not. Other Americans did.
She doesn't even believe we went to the moon, actually.
Possibly.
She doesn't even believe we got to the moon. Okay, so we have to do the whole intro over again. All right, guys. Here we go. We got an entire album review. The name of this band is Savatage or Savatage. I don't know how you're supposed to say it.
It's not Savatage.
How do you know? How do you know?
Because
Savatage.
No. It's got to be Savatage.
All right, Savatage. Yeah, I don't think Sori believes we went to the moon. I haven't checked on her in a while on that question, but that was a real big thing at the beginning. She was like, I don't know.
The more stuff that I was doing.
You watched that Joe Rogan episode kind of fucked you up.
Well, there was a lot of weird things. Like, how are you going to say, like, the actual footage of it, what they recorded it on, suddenly we don't have the stuff to play those videos anymore? It's like, wait, how are you going to take something as epic as that? That's like saying, we had it on VHS, but we lost all of the players for that. Why would you get rid of that if you had some such important VHS player? Like, you know what I'm saying? All right. Some weirdness. All
right.
But whatever. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about Savatage.
Savatage.
If you're Vin, or Savatage if you're Sori. The name of the song that we're about to do is called Jesus Saves. And I'm not going to read that because I don't know if he wanted that read out loud anyway.
Okay.
He's Mojo, your note was funny.
All right, here we go. Savatage.
Okay, so I have the official over here. He's going to play a non-official for you guys so it doesn't get blocked. But I'm going all in. I'm listening to the official over here.
Jesus Saves, let's go.
Go.
You guys should see this.
Jesus was a talker, just out of place for your three. Hung out on the boulevard. It was 7 nickel candies. He was saving up all his quarters. He bought himself a cheap guitar. Started playing bars. Kids came in their cars. and I'm shouting at the stage. Jesus saves. Jesus saves. Yes, it does. Jesus saves. You know, Jesus, he started changing. Things got pretty strange. He saw his t-shirts everywhere. He started missing shows. The band came down the blows. But Jesus, he just didn't care. Things got out of hand, so he quit the band. Still the critics, they would rave. What? Jesus saves. Jesus saves. Yes, it does. Jesus saves. Disappeared. He once had get for New York, so much what the label thought, but there he gave away the years. Last seen drinking wine beneath the flashing sign, promising salvation to strays. Jesus saves. Jesus saves. Yes, it does. Jesus saves. Hear him cut through the night on those late night radio waves. Jesus saves. Yes, it does. Jesus saves.
There was supposed to be according to Mojo, he says at the beginning of the safe link, there is you missed a narration from the album. So where did you put that? Is it in Trello? Because I want to play that.
He doesn't know anything about Trello. I've
got track 2, Jesus Saves, super remastered, and then there's the official video. I don't see anything else. Is that an email? Did he send you that list in email?
Yeah, but I copied all this stuff from the email, so I don't know. Maybe I missed it.
He said it was before that track, because I don't want to miss out on the narration, especially since apparently that was the only narration that they allowed on the thingamajiggy. Here we go.
All right, well, while you're...
yeah.
While you're doing that, I'm going to play this. I liked this part.
Okay. What part?
I'm going to play it out loud. That.
That one?
Yeah, I like that. And then
well,
at the
obviously,
at the end, you're gonna like this. You weren't able to see this because you weren't watching. I gotta mute that so we don't get in trouble. So we don't get blocked.
So we don't get blocked.
Blocked. Right here. You're gonna like this moment. So he was doing the vocals the whole time by himself, and then at the end, see, They yelled together.
Oh, he handed that out to his guitarist?
No, they did it together. They yelled into the microphone together. See?
Oh, yeah. No,
you could tell that they were both doing it together? Okay. Because I didn't know what you were looking at over there. But,
I don't see it even in the video.
Yeah, in the email. Yeah. But just resend that one to us. Because we'll pull that up.
Yeah, you gave us 2 links, right? One link was the Jesus Saves, which was like radio friendly. I mean, YouTube friendly, I guess. And then you had the other one. Let me see. Yeah, the track that you sent goes straight into the song. It doesn't have the narration.
Yeah, even in the official, there was no... I didn't hear any narration at the beginning of that.
Hey, just resend it, bro. Like, we'll comment on the song. But I want to see the narration, though. All right, so let's go into the lyrics, and then when he plays the commentary.
Yeah, it definitely just went right into the song. Okay, so I didn't have the lyrics pulled up when it was going on, but were we talking about a drug dealer and he was being called Jesus? Is that what was happening?
Well, the rock opera is about a guy who's a drug dealer. He becomes a band, then he becomes a drug addict.
Yeah.
So that's the protagonist of the... So Jesus is the protagonist. It's not some random drug deal. Like, he's the centerpiece of the entire thing.
I know, yeah.
Right now, he starts off... I don't know if he's dealing drugs, but he's selling nickel candies, which... we used to say a nickel bag. Like, you spend $5, you get a nickel bag of weed, and then it'd be good for a hit or two. So we used to call those a nickel bag. So I don't know he talks about, when it says selling nickel candies.
Oh,
I don't know if that's actual.
Babe, what do you think he was selling airheads?
In other words, like when he was a kid, because they did that too in New York. Like, you get really industrious kids, and they had their own little side hustle going on. It could just be talking about drugs.
I think that in the song before, we had like the kid angle there to it. And now when he starts this out, he says, "As darkness falls so hard, come and play." So somewhere out there, alone and out of its place, streets of illusion, soothe the shattered fate.
Oh, you're talking about going back to the first song. That's the first song.
Yeah. So we have come and play in the first one. And then in the next one with the Jesus Saves, I think that they're still kind of sticking with the, I don't think he was selling real candy.
Okay, so... But it says he bought himself a cheap guitar, so if he was drug dealing, he'd be able to get a better guitar, right?
I guess it depends on how successful he was. Well, he says, I used to stand for downtown Jesus. He used to sell drugs and stuff down there, and they call him, why we used to call him Detox. He was one character that made it out of here. So...
Is that... Okay,
Did you notice the way that he was singing it before? Because I don't want to forget.
Okay, that's the problem. See, he gave us the wrong link, so he just emailed the other one with the narration. So that'll probably.
This is the narration that I'm reading from.
That's exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
so we'll have more context. It's all good. We're in good shape.
The way that he was singing it, didn't it sound like a preacher?
Yeah, which I think was
obviously is what they were going for. Yeah. But yeah, I just thought it was funny, like hearing him. And just like the way that he was doing it, even like when those preachers would roll up into town that were like not your regular pastor, and they put the feeling into it.
What was the point of that? Was that like that guy was a rock star, like he was the real deal, and so he'd only be in your city for 1 week, basically?
Honestly, I think it was just, you got pastors that just keep repeating the same things, and they were just trying to like pump up the crowd and get people focused. And it also drew more people in, because if it was the same pastor you were going to see every week, we can wait till next week.
Right.
But if there's somebody rolling into town that's like this big, this big deal, and he's only going to be there for one Sunday, that's the invite your friends Sunday.
Gotcha.
So I think it was that. And it also gave the pastor a friggin' break a little bit.
Here's the intro.
All right, hold on. Wait, actually,
he needs a break. He's soft. He's just going up there.
I know, babe.
Making shit up for half an hour.
Oh, I know.
All right, let's go. Here's the intro to the song.
Hey, man, you got a quarter? You ain't got nothing? That's okay, man. That's okay. God bless you anyway, man. Hey, I hope I didn't scare you or nothing like that. I ain't no bum or nothing. I used to live uptown once before too, No, I did, really, I did. I used to come down here and look at all the characters. Never thought I'd be one of them, though. Yeah, characters, man. A lot of characters. Hey, you got a minute? You got a minute? Let me tell you a story about this friend of mine. D.T. Jesus. Yeah. He used to stand for Downtown Jesus. He used to sell drugs and stuff down there, and we used to call him Detox. Yep. He was one character that made it out of here. Let me tell you about him.
Okay, and then it goes
that
into...
really adds something to it.
Then it goes into Jesus Saves, the song. What does that do for you relative to the song?
Well, I mean, it changes it because, we were just talking like out of nowhere, and we're thinking that this is talking about the protagonist, but now when this thing starts out, it's, you're hearing from this guy that has been through a really rough spot, and now he's talking about a story that he once had. So it just changes.
Who do you think he's talking about?
He might be talking about the protagonist. Do you think he is?
What if that bum is the protagonist?
That's what I thought. The bum might be. He said he's not a bum, though. I shouldn't call him.
That means he's a bum. Because my point is, the story arc is he's a drug dealer, rock star, drug addict. So what if this is him
at the end?
At the timeline, he's a drug addict, and he's talking about his previous self. Because remember, he said, I wasn't always like this.
Yeah, but he said he made it out of here.
Huh? Yeah, he did, before he fell into addiction.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's possible.
He could very well be talking... Huh?
I don't think so, but yeah.
He could very well be talking about himself.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
No, definitely. I could see that. Jesus was a talker out of a place...
An out-of-place New Yorker, hung out on the boulevard, selling nickel candy, saving all his quarters, bought himself a cheap guitar, started playing bars. The kids came in their cars, you'd hear them shouting at the stage.
Oh, no, I think he probably was selling candy then. Because it kind of sounds like it's starting at the beginning.
Well, it's like his childhood. That's how he saved up to get his guitar.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I just changed my position.
So, what position? That he was selling drugs or selling candy?
No, before I was like, no, he wasn't selling candy. But now hearing it, we're going somewhere. I think he might have been. And then he bought himself a cheap guitar with that.
I still think the bum is talking about himself, actually.
He could be.
That's what I think. So the guy did his thing. He saved up his money, got himself a guitar, became a rock star pretty quickly. All the kids are cheering for him. But then he started changing. Things got really strange. He saw his T-shirts everywhere. Started missing shows. The band came down to blows, but Jesus, he no longer cared. Which I'm not sure that did Mojo mention about the band like having conflict with each other? Like before they did this record,
no, they
were about to hang it up because they got taken for everything they had.
Their manager,
right?
Yeah, it didn't say anything about interpersonal conflict between the band members.
Okay,
but I mean, I feel like
it's gonna come out.
You're dealing with people,
correct,
and everybody has problems, and you're stuffed inside of a tin van. You know what I mean? Like, come on,
yeah,
you're gonna have problems.
So then he quits the band. So he quit the band, but still the critics say would rave. Jesus. See, the other thing that makes me think that this bum is actually the protagonist is because, okay, so the band has always been tight. The reason I think that this is the protagonist self-narrating is because of what Mojo said in the beginning, that the first song is an introduction, but this is really the first song. Mm-hmm. So if this is really the first song, then it seems to me to actually be more thematic about... It would make sense that you catch it at the end of the guy's story and then everything else is a flashback. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. Because why bring up this story about that other guy unless you're like, yo, that was me. You know what I'm saying?
And then you say, why would you call him Jesus? And that would be because Jesus is a respectable figure. And so he wants to disassociate himself from his past self, from his current self, because then he won't get taken seriously, maybe. Because he's like, no, I really used to be successful. Which, unfortunately, you would hear that a lot in New York. I'd hear that a lot from street folks and people looking for drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
They'd always tell you, like, I had one guy say I used to be a PA or something, like an attorney or something. And then they'd sit there and drop all this, we used to call them poor righteous teachers. And so they'd always have like some knowledge or wisdom for you, but then they would always have that giant flaw that kind of undid their credibility. And so it was these weird things where it's like, yo, this guy really does have something to say. And obviously you could see he's been through a lot, but at the same time, it's like, yo, you're in this condition. How can I follow you? You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying it was right. I'm just saying like that was a dynamic that was Johnny Stout in the house. Long time no see. That was a dynamic that happened a lot with you know, bums in the street or whatever. They'd always tell you that there was something more than what they were. But then sometimes, like when first couple times, I was like really listening to them, and then I got cynical just like everybody else. I'd be like, oh, word, yeah, okay. And I was just looking at his hands to make sure the guy wasn't trying to rob me or something like that. But I wasn't, you know, I bet you anything, I would have got a lot of really good wisdom if I'd have just shut up and listened. But so anyway, I'm not sure. Maybe he's narrating about some other guy, but I think maybe he's actually self-narrating here and doing the things that they talked about.
Whenever I had those experiences, like because I mean, I'm from Maine. There's a lot more people on the side of the road now than there was when I was a teenager that I remember. But whenever I got a chance to talk to somebody in that situation, and they would start dropping the knowledge, I was always like, oh, okay, I bet this person has some really like interesting stuff. But then like I ended up bumping into too many people that were actually just paranoid people. And when I say just paranoid people, I just mean a lot of their information was like
conspiracy,
really
weird,
off. Yeah. And then
unbalanced.
And then I was like, what are we talking about? And then when you ask the question, then they start getting aggressive with you, like how you don't.
What do you mean?
Like you don't understand what they're saying. Like it's very confusing. I'd be like, what is this person talking? What are we even talking about here? And then they get agitated with you that you don't know what's going on. Like, how could you be this delusional to not know this information? But it's like, I didn't know where the line was because there's so much stuff like practical stuff like Gandhi that I didn't know about that I never knew when it was one of those situations or when I was just talking to somebody that was like just paranoid and none of the information that they were giving was true. So that was how, you know, for me, but I didn't get like a lot of times where somebody told me their past. That happened with that guy that told us he was a firefighter and stuff. So I had that experience there, but that didn't happen like a whole lot with me. Hearing somebody's backstory.
Yeah, this is really interesting. He said, so the dice were cast. That's a brilliant line.
Yeah.
Because the first...
why?
Because the original line is the die, D-Y-E, is cast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually a way to... It's a poetic way of saying your fate is sealed.
Right, yeah.
So the die is cast. But here it says the dice were cast. As in dice.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of the die was cast, it's the dice was cast. So it's a play on words. Die is cast, dice is cast.
Yep.
It's a play on words. So it's a double entendre. That's all I was saying.
Oh, wait, like when you say die, are you saying the double as in like your death was decided? I don't get what you mean.
The phrase, the die was cast.
Yeah, but doesn't die just mean the dice were thrown?
Well, what it means is that your fate is sealed.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is he's not saying the die was cast. He's saying the dice was cast. Because that's what you see in the gutter in New York.
Because they play
These
the
guys
dice.
are playing dice all the time.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes they'll kill you over a dice game. That's happened. Because, you know, there's money or gambling. So the dice was cast. Today became the past. And Jesus, he disappeared, headed for New York, or so his label thought. And there he gave away the years.
Wow.
Last seen drinking wine beneath a flashing sign, promising salvation to strays. Hear him cut through the night on your late night radio waves, which is really interesting because if the bum is him, it's possible that he could be strung out in a gutter somewhere and then a car drives by playing his music, which would be really crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's actually happened to a here's Kevin. Kevin says a die cast is used for molding metal. So that's where the term a die was cast comes from. Oh,
really?
So it's used for molding
I
metal.
literally thought every time they said a die was cast, I always thought that was just like a short form. I thought it was saying like one dice instead of two. Like I thought it was the same thing. Like I always translated that to be the dice was cast.
Yeah, so when you say that, it means that
The
your
die
fate
was
is
cast.
sealed
That's
in the
interesting.
sense that, because it says for molding metal, so whatever that is, you're not going to break out of it.
It's made. Yeah, that's
Right?
done.
So,
Yeah.
right.
Same
so
thing as when you throw the dice. They are what they are. You can't change them mid-throw.
Yeah, I think it's about the concept of fate. Like, you can't outrun fate. You're just destined to be that, which I think he's using to justify why he's in the position he's in.
What about when he says today became the past? What do you think he means by that? So the dice were cast. Today became the past.
Time just flew by. Because when you're in the middle of that stuff, you know how people they turn around and they go, "Holy shit, I'm 45. What happened?" So I think that's what he's talking about. Hear him cut through the night on your late night radio waves. So I'm not sure who the quote bum is, and shout out to Davey J in the house.
I switched it. I think it is. I think the bum
could be
is
a self narration. I'm not sure. It's interesting because Mojo.
Yeah, but remember he said it was
not commenting.
Yeah.
On that
he said
way.
that sometimes
so
it was first and sometimes third.
Maybe he's gonna let us. Maybe he's gonna let us figure it out for ourselves. But that's what it looks like to me.
Oh, so, time went by. Yeah.
So that was sort of like
sense.
So the beginning was sort of like the preface to a book. You know how you read a preface to a book, and then this was really chapter 1 of the rock opera here. Okay. So having said
really
that,
like
I'm going to give this. This is another 9.4 for me.
Really?
These guys are really, really solid.
This
really,
one was
really
another
solid.
9.8 for
Is
me.
it back to back for you? Okay.
Yeah. It's so funny that we both kept the scores the same.
That is funny. That is funny.
Okay. Okay, Savatage Tonight He Grins Again is up next.
Tonight He Grins Again. That's
and
there's no
there's no big intro. There's no intro at all. So as soon as the commercial finishes, be ready to start.
I wish Middle Earth were here. You know what? So do I. Let me reach out to Middle Earth and say, hey.
Yeah. Reach out to the phone.
We need your expertise.
Uh-huh.
Hey. We're live.
Maybe he's working. I don't know what he does for a job.
I know. He'll tell. Out.
Sori out.
Go. All right, guys. Song number 3 is next. Be there, be square, bitches. I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at sori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
Okay. Savatage Tonight He Grins
Or
Again.
Savatage, depending on how you want to pronounce the name of the band.
Shout out to the big homie Mojo is our DJ. Here's his the picture
Robert.
he wanted added to the stream. I think it's the album cover.
Yeah, to the rock opera.
Okay, next up on the list is Tonight He Grins Again.
Tonight He Grins Again. And there's no little intro doohickey for it,
Nope,
huh?
nope.
We're going straight
Right
into it.
into it.
All right. Straight into it. The name of this song is Tonight He Grins Again. The name of the band is Savatage. And we are doing their entire record, okay? The entire
2 days,
record.
back to back,
over
today and tomorrow.
2 days.
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know where you're going to find another channel that's going to dedicate this much time and energy to a classical record, start to finish.
The only way it happens is when a homie like Mojo rolls up in here and says, "This is what I desire to do," and gets it accomplished.
All right.
So,
Here we go.
our channel's doing it, but Mojo's the one getting it done.
Obviously. Shout out to the big homie DJ Mojo, which is right over there.
Okay,
All right,
so
guys,
wait a
here
minute.
we go.
Does the next one not have one of those intros?
Yeah, it doesn't. Remember, they only let one.
That's
thing
right.
go.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
But that one little conversation added so much character and context. I don't know. I'm not sure if I agree with the record label on that decision.
I don't know if I do either.
You know, the Protomen did that.
I know.
They had but they didn't. I mean, they would. Yeah, I
They
don't
had
know.
the music behind it, I think, and
Right.
stuff like.
Tonight He Grins Again. Let's do this shit. Oh, I'm gonna like this already. I love that progression.
Yeah.
That's very 80s. Oh my god.
Nighttime again. Seems I'm my only friend. I wander the streets alone, the lost in search of his own. Once again I played the clown, used my friends and let them down. Walked the streets just staring out. Late at night the strange come out. Time again. I'm just looking for a friend, but no one seems to be around. Just this monkey that I found still is my only friend. And tonight he grins again. Tonight he grins again. Tonight he grins again. It's cold, this pain. It's burning inside my veins. I walk away, a shadow of Dorian Gray. Once again I played the clown, used my friends and let them down. Walk the streets staring out. Late at night the strange come out. Time again. I'm just looking for a friend. No one seems to be around. Just this monkey that I found still is my only friend. And tonight he grins again. Tonight he grins again. Tonight he grins again. Living on the edge.
Wow.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I'm not happy with that.
Why?
I'm not happy with that song length, bro. I really love that song. And I love what they did with the melody. There's another thing that I really love that they did too, that I'm like, oh, I gotta steal that shit. It's definitely like an 80s type progression. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's like totally that sound. I'm like, I'm gonna bring that shit back, my guy. I'm gonna bring that shit back. I'm gonna modernize it, but I love that shit. That was like such an 80s progression, the way they used to. There was a lot of anticipation, a big build up. You remember in the 80s, man, like late 80s, but everything was so exciting. Maybe it's because I was a little kid, but anytime I heard music, I always like wanted to run and stuff. Like 80s music just made you feel like
it was
like some like get burn some
but
energy.
the thing too, that there was like a lot of bright colors. You had
That's
the
what I'm saying.
neon.
It was bright.
You had like, you know, the blush that people, the men and women would both wear. But it was like really dark. Like everything was almost like at a theatrical level, just in the regular day. Like, I mean, even when you look at like some of the hairstyles that we had when we were like 6 or 8 years old, like this big thing, like everything was just overdone.
I know, like
it was fun.
We don't really know the 80s. I know that we don't really know the 80s. I mean, this song was released in 1991. We're talking about the 80s, but it still had that style.
I feel like that I can do that because Maine is always like 10 years behind.
Right.
So by the time that I was old enough,
this shit in the year 2000, my God.
By the time I was old enough, like the 80s was happening when I was old enough to experience it because we're so far behind.
I see what you're saying.
So we had the neon clothes,
but there was that like it was just exciting. Like,
yeah,
and I was like, that's when I was into martial arts. I was always doing my katas and shit.
Yeah, I could see how that'd be fun.
They had the big bass drums exaggerated and shit. I don't know. 90s, and obviously, you know, there's other music that carries voltage and energy, but like the energy of that kind, it was fun energy. It wasn't like I'm angry. It wasn't like I want to burn down the house. It was just like. And then they would have these movies, right, where the guy, like, he was a fighter, and then, like, Rocky, like, he'd have to train. So there are all these, like, extended clips of them in the beach working out or in the gym. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, wow, they're, like, exerting themselves physically, but that's because he's prepping. He's going to kick that guy's ass by the end of the movie. You knew there was going to be a big showdown. It was a lot of energy. It just, like, I miss that kind of feeling as a kid, like how I was when I would see that stuff.
Yeah, but then you wonder, is it like
fun? Like the energy was fun, and there was a lot of like so many possibilities, and like you were always gonna win. The good guy's always gonna win. You just need to train a little bit harder. Just train a little bit harder. You'll be able to beat the guy. Go ahead.
It does kind of make you wonder, though, if it's just like the experience because we were kids. Because if I think
Before
about Candy,
us,
like how much Candy was like super exciting, and now I'm like,
yeah. That was actually one of the biggest things to me about being an adult.
What?
I realized I could get as much candy as I wanted. Nobody could stop me.
Yeah, you're funny. You go for candy like you're a kid.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you never lost the taste buds for that.
That was a big thing to me about being a kid. Okay. So this song is too short, number one.
This was a sad one, like
tonight he grins tonight or whatever. Tonight he grins again.
Yeah, like
I'm very upset at the length of this song.
How long was it exactly?
It was like, I don't know. It wasn't long enough. It was like 3 minutes. 3 minutes and 30 seconds, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. How long is it? Yeah, 3 minutes and 28 seconds.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty much it.
Okay. So he said...
What was sad about the song?
Well, it was just sad because, one is, I think that, you know, most of us, if we're honest with ourselves, can look at different points in our life where they were like, yo, that was a low point. that was not my best and shining moments were in that section of time. And so, like, in this, you
I don't know what you're talking about. All of mine have just been
yes,
progressively better.
Yeah, I know.
I actually really do think that. But go ahead.
But you must look at some stuff where you're like, I could have done that differently.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple things.
All right. I don't know, Vin. Okay. So
Yeah,
anyway, so I'm just like looking at like, here's this guy. He had this opportunity with the music. He pissed it away, literally, probably, and he like left, and then he got into all these drugs, and it's like literally destroying his life. And then he says, nighttime again, seems I'm my only friend. Like, well, that kind of sounds
Middle
like
Earth is here. I summon Middle Earth for you, Mojo.
And here he is. So
that's what happens when you're the DJ. You have your own concierge service. Hey, Middle Earth. He's like, damn it, I wish Middle Earth was here. So I was like, yo,
Ben was like, yeah, me too.
Let me hit him. So I texted the big homie Middle Earth. Shout out to Middle Earth. We love that brother.
Oh, he is working. Yeah, okay.
He's working. But he stopped by to work just to check up on his homie Mojo. See? It's a village, man. Forget it. All right, go ahead. I just love Middle Earth. Go ahead.
So when he says nighttime again seems I'm my only friend, it kind of sounds like this sort of self-pity. Wandering the streets alone, the lost in search of his own. But then he goes into verse 2, I guess it's verse 2, and he says, once again I've played the clown, used my friends and let them down.
See?
Walk the streets just staring out, late at night the strange come out. So, and he's walking around at night, and so he's calling himself strange while at the same time recognizing other people are strange. And so he, at first, just doesn't sound like he gets it. Like he's almost like, it sounds like he's like blaming, oh, I'm my only friend, poor me.
Right.
But then when he goes into the next part, he's saying like, look, I'm the one that did this. Like I've played the clown, I let my friends down, and now I'm in this situation. And so I felt bad for him in that place because, I think that like all of our friends and people that have come from that lifestyle and like made it out of it, like I think that they had to have that moment where they were like, okay, I've ruined relationships, I've done all this whatever, and like you have to have like this real honest conversation with who you are and what you've done, and then you don't let yourself just stay bogged down in it, but you move out of it. And so this was sad because obviously he doesn't move out of it in this song. I don't understand what the monkey is that he's found, but there's that phrase that you have a monkey on your back, which I think is something that nags at you that won't let you go.
Yeah, I think that's just a metaphor for his addiction.
That's what I was wondering. Still, he's my only friend, and I thought to myself, holy shit, if you get to the point where... Because I do think that substances can take on a sort of...
persona?
Yeah, I guess you could say persona, and people will sort of relate to them as a person. Like you'll hear them, it'll sometimes be described like a woman, or it will be described as like a friend, or like a warmth in the midst of coldness. And I think that when the substance has gotten to that point, you may not realize it, but it's extremely unhealthy. And because human beings to human beings, like we can have those types of relationships, but when a drug is that relationship for you, or a drug is that friend to you, it's bad.
Lamb of God used a dark mistress as a metaphor for alcohol.
Yeah.
And in that song, The Dark Mistress of Many Beholden to None.
Yeah.
He anthropomorphizes the substance as a dark mistress of a woman, whereas this one, it's basically, I think it's going with the monkey on your back type phraseology. A monkey on your back is that thing that everybody kind of, you're burdened with it. Everybody says, all that about you, and like, you got to get it off.
When he says that he grins again, which I think means...
The addiction has power over him.
You're going again, yeah.
Yeah, like, I remember the first time I actually saw that phrase used. I'll never forget the night. It was Steve Young of the 49ers when they played the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Opening play, 87-yard strike to Jerry Rice. I'm like, yo, this is going to be a long night. But anyway, they won, and everybody was like taking this thing off, this invisible thing off his back, and it was, you can't win a title yourself, because he was in the shadow of Tom Brady, basically, with Joe Montana. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's when I first heard it.
Oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool. Wow, really?
Yeah. The reason it stays in my head is because I had a family member that tried to take their own life, and we were an hour away from the ambulance coming and picking her up. So the kids were, the rest of us were home. It's my older brother, and so he basically got us pizza and sat us down in the living room and watched the Super Bowl. And while this incredibly traumatic thing had just happened in our family for the millionth time, and we followed along. We sat there and watched the Super Bowl. I cheered for him, blah blah blah, and then we went to bed and went to school the next day.
Oh my gosh.
What can you do? But this is always a thing with people like in the throes of their addiction, man. It's like, if you just look at them, it's like, oh, my family abandoned me, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh, poor you. And that's why I said, like, we had a guy that we were taking, Tex, you know, we had a guy that we were taking care of, and he was in pretty bad shape. And, you know,
really bad shape.
his family, you know, and I remember somebody from the church was like, oh, that's terrible how they're treating him. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Our job is to love him and not judge him. But we don't know what his family went through. And like he said it right here, you know, he talks about, you know, using his friends or whatever, or letting, once again, I played the clown, used my friends and let them down. It's like, there are times when people abandon people in their time of need because they don't want to deal with like trying to help somebody and, you know, whatever. But there's also times where you keep pushing people, especially when those relationships kind of get solidified that way, where it's like, I'm the caretaker, you're the person I'm always supposed to be carrying, and people kind of get used to that system. And so when the caretaker decides, I'm not going to caretake you anymore, I have my own issues to deal with, now all of a sudden they're the bad guy, they're horrible, they're, you know, and the abuser's a big victim or whatever.
Yeah.
And I get it, like, that's what I'm saying, like, I think we just need to have grace for both groups of people. You know what I'm saying? But it is true, like, most of the time, if you've got an addiction issue or whatever issue you have, most of the time, if you're straight up with your family and your friends, people will absolutely surround you and try to take care of you. But what a lot of folks in this position refuse to do is take a responsibility for the fact that they've alienated them. They've done things that alienate other people.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is that like if you're the caretaker, you're sober the entire time that they're high, so they don't realize how fucking long it's been.
True.
So they feel like, yo, it's not that much. I mean, come on.
It's true.
But like you didn't live it. You flew through that high, so you didn't know.
That's such a good point. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree with that. Especially if you're talking about hard drugs, you know. It's different. Yeah. I mean, in hard drugs, I'm also including alcohol. Like,
yeah.
You know, especially if somebody's abusing alcohol, I mean, there's nothing that'll delete your mind from what happened the day before.
That's
like
what
alcohol.
I'm saying.
Holy
yeah,
shit.
It's like so
that's a good
don't
point.
Know what you've been doing.
You don't know the full weight of what you're doing, and if you do remember it, it's like little snapshots, and you're like, oh wow, you know.
And maybe that's the first place to start. Maybe the first place to start isn't to go in there and say, hey, I'm trying to do it right, I need your help. Maybe it's to just sit everybody down and say, hey, how has my addiction affected you? And listen to what people have to say.
I'll tell you what, there's nothing worse to me though than a lonely person.
Oh, I know, I can't stand that, man.
It makes me really, really sad to think about people being alone when they can't help it. Like, I understand there's a lot of introverted people, and introverts, we need our time. But people that, you know, I'm always torn about like the internet and like, are internet relationships real, and shouldn't you encourage people to touch grass? Shouldn't you encourage people to get out into the quote real world, whatever that is? But I'm also very, very grateful that we do have the internet, where if people are like, I went through a span like 4 or 5 months ago where I was doing live streams at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and there were people there, you know, and you know, like trying to figure out the sleep thing and all the rest of it, but there were people there that I could talk to. You know, so that's a cool little blessing that technology has given us. And yeah, there's a lot of negative aspects of technology, but I really do like the fact that for the most part we can create communities where people are not like completely and totally alone. And you know, I'm not sure about like, I do, you know, I've said about the internet that we've all probably collectively traumatized ourselves between what the political apparati, the various political apparati are using the media to do, on top of just regular social media toxicity, on top of, you know, just the gore porn that gets shot. Oh, look, this cop shot this guy 60 times, and here is the video in slow motion. Things like that. The Uvalde thing, there's video of the Uvalde thing. They muted the thing so that you couldn't hear when the kids were getting shot and killed, but you could still watch And my only point in saying that is to say that there's a lot of really bad things for your mental health on the internet. And I think in 20 to 30 years, some major groundbreaking study will come out that everybody in this generation has been self-traumatized and self-radicalized to a degree. But I will say about the internet too, though, is that there's a lot of Middle Earth, who I just texted, like, there's a lot of really cool people that I would not have known otherwise were it not for the internet. There's another guy, JLB, me and him talk, you know.
Yeah. He's here right now.
Oh, JLB's here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just posted his thingamajiggy. So, like, you know, I'm torn on the value and the contribution of the internet in the social discussion. But at minimum, I'm happy that, you know, if you truly want to find your tribe, you will definitely be able to find your tribe on the internet.
Yeah.
So for all the lonely people, I get it. But at least you can, you know, you got the village, we got each other, so there's that. This is my favorite song on the record. This is a 9.8 for me.
This one is, again, a 9.8.
Really?
Yes.
You gave the other one a 9.7, though, didn't you?
No, I gave all of these a 9.8.
I really love this. I love this song. It's my favorite song.
Yeah.
This song actually is going on my playlist, actually.
It's a good one, and it. You know,
I just feel like there's a lot of forgotten. There's things about the '80s that are kind of like cheesy, but there are certain things about '80s music and early '90s music that I would love to revive as far as our stuff, because I think it'll be cool. But this was my favorite song by them for sure. Okay, guys, a 9.8. What did you give it?
Zombieholic. I love those early morning live streams because I wasn't so lonely.
Yeah.
I gave it a 9.8 as well.
Okay, guys, it's 2 a.m. where Kevin is. Stay tuned, dear listener. We're not even
reality.
at the halfway point, so sit back, relax. We got more Vin, more Sori, more Mojo, more Zombieholic, and most importantly, more Savatage. Vin out.
Sorry, out.
Gone. Savatage. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of Alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
Rubbish. That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
They do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 here and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch. Buy our merch, indeed.
Charles shall lead them.
To buy our merch. All right. We are doing an album.
This here. This thing.
Look at it. Somebody bit it.
Probably why he's so miserable. Evil ass kid. Good for you.
No.
Alright guys, here we are!
There's
Shout
nothing
out
in
to
that
A.
they can eat that! You're very loud sometimes, babe.
What? Who said that? They can eat that?
I'm telling you they can eat that, but you were like, whoa! Just being so loud you couldn't hear me, so I started yelling. at the same time you stopped. So I
had no idea what you're talking about.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Sabotage.
It doesn't matter what I think.
We're doing an album review. Please pinch. Oh, God.
What happened?
Savatage Strange Reality is up next for the big homie Mojo.
Yes.
He's doing a full album review, and we are on track 4.
Track number 4. The name of this song is Strange Reality.
Strange Reality.
Strange Reality by the band Savatage. And look, guys, if you want to be a DJ, it's very simple. 4 songs minimum gets you to be a DJ. There is no maximum. So, for example, we're doing 2 days of Savatage, today and tomorrow, featuring our big homie Mojo. Okay, so there's no limit to how many. We once did an entire week's worth of reviews for a person. So there's no limit, but you determine what song, you determine the song order, you determine when we start, you determine the little thingamajiggy down there.
Also, another little hack is that if you reach out to me, because you need to work on a payment plan, basically like a layaway, I can help you with that. So just reach out to me and I'll work with you on that. I've worked with many a folk on that.
There you are. Okay, guys, here we go. Savatage, Strange Reality. Let's do it. Go.
Am I now where he's been?
Okay, that was song number 4, Strange Reality. Scroll up. So it starts off by saying, "Who's this before me, dressed in rags, soaked in gin? Is it a sign or a warning? Am I now seeing what? Am I now seeing where he's been?
Am I now where he's been?
Am I now where he's been?"
Wow. So he's having like this kind of out of body experience where he's seeing himself dressed in rags, and he's like, "Is that me? Is he?" Because it's like
I don't know if he's seeing himself dressed in rags. It could be a flashback to before his fall from grace.
He said, "Who is this before me?"
Right? So it might just be he ran into a bum on the street, and he's looking at the bum and saying, "Is this guy a precautionary tale for where I'm going to go?" Or it could be that he's looking at himself in the mirror, and it's strange to him because he doesn't recognize himself. Mm-hmm. You know what's really fascinating to me, which I guess is common among the trans community, but I did not know this until somebody had done like a 11-hour commentary on something. It's 11 hours long, and they said, and this was a lot of trans people were saying that they felt that way, that when they hit puberty, that they would be afraid of the person that they saw in the mirror, because you feel that you're a female the entire time, right? And when you're a baby and you're younger, there are definitely differences between boys and girls, but it's not as. But now you're growing facial hair, and you're getting a more adult features, and so they were talking about hitting puberty.
That's so sad.
Hitting puberty, and then, seeing, this mustached person or this bearded person and being like, "Yo," because psychologically they're living, they feel a certain way, and then their body doesn't match what they're seeing. I know this is not necessarily
sad. You know what's so sad about that?
Totally related, but
is that when most times, like, like when you're talking to like a teenager that doesn't have that issue, like, they're happy about the changes.
Yes, that's yes.
Or Johan came
Same
back.
thing with the cycle.
His little his mustache was showing more. It's darker.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, your mustache is showing." And boy, wasn't he happy that I noticed that his mustache. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that would just be like all of those like those moments as you're changing and becoming like an adult are exciting moments. Because you're basically like, you're getting to discover your own changes as they're happening, like, because you don't know who you're going to be at the end of it.
Right.
So yeah, that's really sad. Like you're saying, when they're a kid, they're looking at it as, they feel one way, and the body when you're a kid, it could swing.
Yeah.
Just depending on what you wear, it doesn't, and the voice, it just whatever.
Everybody used to say that Johan was a girl. He had long hair and it was very curly.
Honest to goodness, that just stopped like. Just a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Prior to that, people kept saying it, but now he's transitioning more to be more manly looking.
Yeah,
so people are not seeing him as like
a little boy. I mean, a little girl.
He just had those big eyes, and his hair was always long, and yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was very interesting, like just lyrical, but. There's a thing.
So what were you going to compare the two?
Well, he's just saying he doesn't recognize who he sees in the mirror, and it's the whole phenomenon of like, you have a certain image in your head, like you have a projected self that you have in your head, and most of us are delusional. Most of our projected selves, we're not viewed by outsiders the way that, like one of the tests that I had to take. Was of the trillions of entrance whatever things, but it was you had to guess what other people, you had to rank what other people ranked you as. So they wanted to know
that's
how
interesting.
Close
yeah,
your personal narrative,
your self-realization was
to other people's perception of you. Mm-hmm. And they made a point to say, we are measuring other people's perception of you. We're not measuring the reality. They had to tell us this is not the reality of who you are. Mm-hmm. What we're doing is we're saying, do you have an understanding of how other people see you? Whether or not that perception, I scored the highest. I almost got a perfect score.
What categories did
they? The psychologist was. It was 250 questions.
What?
We've been around each other. The particular group of guys, we've been around each other for.
Wow.
I think we're at the 12-week mark at that point. But yeah, I scored the highest in class on that. But that didn't. I thought, oh yeah, and that didn't really help me a lot. Because what the psychologist ended up saying was, okay, now that we know that you know that, it makes you the hardest person to measure what you're actually thinking and how honest you're being. Because if you know so much about how people perceive you, you can then use it. So I was like, okay, so there's no way to take this test and not come out looking horrible. You know what I'm saying? Like, mm-hmm. And that psychologist was crazy because he didn't give you anything. He said, okay, next. And like, he just moved on with it. And I never talked to him again in my life. Never saw him again, never talked to him again. So, do what you want with that. But, yeah, like.
I think that this can happen not just to people with like alcoholism or like something like that. I think that this is kind of what happens to people when they hit their midlife crisis. I think that you have this sort of self-realization or belief about yourself when you're like a teenager and like a young adult, because you always, you know, like there's memes about it and it's joked about because it's so common in people of that age bracket. They know everything. Like you're not telling them anything, and then when you hit your 30s, you're like, maybe I can, you know, maybe actually I could learn something from other people.
Maybe there's a thing or 9 I don't know.
Yeah. And then you know, just kind of that sort of thought process. But I think that by the time you hit that midlife crisis, part of that is that, like, looking in the mirror and being like, who are you? Because I think that, you know, you're in that, you know, like, you know everything. Then you start having kids, your career takes off, like, you have a lot of pressures, a lot of people end up getting married, you have all those extra things, like, kind of coming in at you, and then you kind of can lose track of yourself, and then all of a sudden you're, like, looking in the mirror, and you're like, who are you, and who am I now? Like, so I don't think that's just for, like, somebody in that situation. I think that a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, I completely. But you know that text in the Bible says you'll become a proverb and a byword. Like, you don't want to be the cautionary tale for people. But
I know.
What's funny is, like, as a parent, like, I want to be that. Like, but your kids look, unless you do something like miraculously horrible as a parent, your kids are gonna generally try to look up. They're gonna look up to you, and it's your job to tell them, no, I'm not really as big as you. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for example, you know, I had this conversation with a family member of mine. I'm like, look, you know, I talk to the boys about marriage. We have our man time or whatever. And I tell them, like, look, the Bible says that the man's the head of the house. So if the marriage wasn't successful, at some level, you've got to take ownership for that if you're the head of the house. You can't say I'm the head of the house, and when the thing comes falling apart, you say, oh, it's all the other person. You can't do that.
Right, yeah.
You have to own the majority of the failure if you're going to be the head of the house. And so I try to bring that up and say, okay, so, you know, I'm teaching you guys this stuff so you don't make the same mistakes I did, so that you can, you know, keep your first marriage intact. Now, obviously, they were there. They saw a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? But it's about the principle. It's about the principle of, well, you're supposed to be the leader, and if you're the leader, you're supposed to carry more of the weight, whether or not it's fair.
Mm-hmm. So,
trying to, like, actively use myself as a cautionary tale to them, but, you know, it really, I'm seeing it's not really that effective because they're looking at you as, well, you're a good parent, and you're this and you're that, so they're not like, oh, I don't want, because I think it's like part of saying, like, I don't want to end up like dad, which obviously, if you admire the person, of course you want to end up like them.
Well, yeah, but I think that there's areas of your life that, you know, Dorian looks up to you a lot. I mean, he'd friggin' make a statue out of you if it was, you know what I mean? Like, right. He's very much, but at the same time, like, there are parts of your life that he's like, what the fuck? And he doesn't want to replicate that. So I think that he is able to see the precautionary tale in certain elements of.
Yeah, but his arithmetic though isn't, well, that's really gonna screw up my life. It's more like he told me, like, I would never talk to the kids the way you talk to the kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and that's one where I'm like, dude, that's not gonna go good for them. But Yeah, I mean, look, you know, you got to learn from other people's mistakes, but I don't know, like, I feel like everybody that's ruined their lives or has done something that's, like, significantly ruined their lives, like, I feel like everybody's got a precautionary tale or two or an off-ramp or two that, you know, whatever you say the universe is telling me, I think that's so stupid the universe is telling you, but whatever. But I do believe there's times when you're about to go down a really bad path and God does bring precautionary tales into your life that is designed to make you rethink, do you really want to go here? Do you really want to do this?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times we just like ignore them until we become the precautionary tale, then we get upset about it. But
yeah.
This song though, like, was kind of didn't really do it for me. The first couple songs were like out of the park for me. This one has been my least favorite one so far.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
But at the same time, like, it was still a badass song. It was just based on the other ones that I've heard. This one didn't really do it for me. But
yeah,
and I'm still not sure. This part I like. I'm still not sure lyrically if the person's talking about himself or somebody else. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. But go ahead.
Yeah, this one was an 8 for me.
Yeah, this one was 8.5. More Savatage on the way, dear listener. More. What's the name of the next song?
The next song coming up is A Little Too Far.
A Little Too Far. Oh no. Okay, so A Little Too Far is next. We are doing a Savatage live mega stream album listen review over 2 days. 16 songs, dear listener. We're doing everything start to finish, breaking down every lyric, every note. That's what we're about. Vin and Sori are going to be returning on the other side of the commercial break. Vin out.
Sori out.
Go. This is the first live stream. I've seen the bots come in. Yeah, these guys.
I can only get to one of our things. I'll show you on the commercial.
Okay, we shall return. I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 here and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
I always do this thing and it always works.
All right, dear listener. We are back with a Savatage full album review mega stream by the big homie DJ Mojo.
Next song on the stream is going to be A Little Too Far.
A Little Too Far.
Yep, this is track 5.
Track number 5 on the rock opera record. The name of the rock opera is Streets, I think, is the name of the entire thing.
Well, no, was it? I thought it had a bigger name than that.
I thought it was like Streets, a rock opera.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, Streets, a rock opera.
Okay. All right, guys, here we go. A Little Too Far by the band Savatage. Let's make it happen.
Do you remember? Look at me. At all the things we said we'd be. We'd beat the house, we'd push the odds. We'd take it all, we had the cards. With years to burn and years to trash, living life based on flash, but somehow reaching for the stars. I think we went a bit too far. Gotta get back, gotta get back, gotta get back. I never meant to take it this far. Gotta get back, gotta get back, gotta get back. When everything you touch turns gold, can weigh you down, can make you old. When metal doesn't ring the same, reaction from inside your brain. And all the years we offered up to gods who couldn't get enough.
Whoa.
Though we still stay up all night, the mornings aren't quite as bright. Gotta get back, gotta get back, gotta get back. I never meant to take it this far. Gotta get back, gotta get back, gotta get back. And all those things we thought we learned as we watched our bridges burn, while standing in the afterglow, I guess we gave them quite a show. And who's to say what it's about when John Wayne caught the last train out, and Spock and Kirk have had enough, and no one's left to beam me up. Gotta get back, gotta get back, gotta get back. I never meant to take it this far. Gotta get back, gotta get back, gotta get back. I never meant to take it this far. Yeah. Oh, I never meant to take it this far.
Wow. That one,
I like that
deep.
one. Yeah. I like
That
that one.
is deep.
I feel like he the way that he sung it was just perfect for what he was talking about.
Yeah,
Man.
you know, if there's, you know, sometimes we have like the Daniels and the Madelyns and the rest, you know, 14, 15 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the biggest thing to me is like the passage of time. How quick time goes by. Like just talking about like that picture. I've got a picture up on my Instagram right now of me in school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I still remember that exact day and exactly what I was doing and all the
Your
rest.
memory is just so ridiculous.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, it just seems like yesterday, man. Like that's it. And there's so many things like just looking at that picture where I'm like, yo, it just brought back so many memories. I mean, obviously not all good memories, but at the same time, even the bad memories are still kind of like nostalgic. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Just being there was just such a crazy, like seeing that picture and like just being back there is just like a crazy thing. But yeah, when it's saying gotta get back, it's like, yo, there's none of that shit in life, bro. Like, there is no get back, there is no do over. Like, time is going and that's it. Like, yeah, so there I was.
Yeah.
You guys see the camera up there? And then I had all my bands on here. I had like a
you've had that
corn.
Well, I'll
thing
tell
on
you,
there,
you still
and then
have that
all this
same
stuff.
attitude.
I also put "I Love Cops" on this thing too on my book bag. Yeah.
Why?
I didn't love cops. I just wanted to fuck with people. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody, obviously all the gangsters, they hated cops or whatever. And I'm going around in New York City like saying that I was just like such a contrarian. Like I didn't care. I was so stupid.
Oh, things are making more sense now.
I was such an idiot. But yeah, Truman High School, boy. Woo! Brought back memories, bitches. Yeah, but like the whole passage of time and how quick that is, and because when you're young you don't understand. There's so much you don't understand when you're young. There's just so much you don't get when you're young, and like
you don't have the awareness to realize
and you don't realize like how entropy and time works like on this sort of like arc to where like you hit a certain age and it's like the years keep coming faster and faster and faster. I remember like how long it would take to get to Christmas, and then like when Christmas was over I'd feel sad because I'm like, oh my god, we have to wait an entire other year. Same thing with birthdays. Like everything was just slow, and now it's like we're literally on the last tail end of 2022 already. Like that's like one of the major things I would love to communicate to anybody younger than us is like just how fast all this goes by.
Yeah, I mean they said that to us. It goes so fast. It goes so fast.
Yeah, your parents say that. You know what I'm saying? But like
tons of people.
We've got the kind of cool older brother sister thing going on with Daniel and Madeline and a couple of the other young bucks. Like it's just you can't get it back once it's there. So just try to live in the moment as much as you can.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is like, so I used to have this same mindset up until like 2 months ago. So don't let me put it out there that I've been changed for so long. But I just kept having that mindset like I got to get back to like who I was, like the way that I was about certain things. And then like probably like I don't know, X amount of time ago, I realized like, nope, I have to go to new places. Like the things, the person that you were, you can't compare yourself now to the person that you were when you were a teenager, because a lot of stuff has happened from then till now. And, or you in your 20s or whatever, like whatever comparison that you're doing, like you're not the same person. You've experienced things, you've been through things, life has changed you, and you're a different person. And so to expect that the person that you are now is going to revert back to that person, that's backwards thinking. So you have to just say, you know what? I'm going to a new place. I'm going to go to a healthy place. It's going to be a new place. And, you know, some of the, you know, you can look back at some of the ways, like maybe when you were younger, you were more sympathetic toward people. So maybe you're like, you know, I'd like to get, you can say, I'd like to be more sympathetic like I used to be. But as far as being that person, that's done. And that's okay. That's who you were back then. Be who you are supposed to be now. And that for me, for some reason, was one of the few things that when I got that, it helped change things for me. Because I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to struggle.
Where'd you get that? Was that an act of imagination revelation you had?
Yeah.
Wow, that's deep. I tell you, that act of imagination, holy shit. That's that really does a lot. Eventually I'll shoot a video on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate songs like this in the sense of like, first of all, it's a really, really good song. But I always like phase out of my worldview and like said, and I think to myself, like, what if this life was all that there was? And the few years you have on the earth is all that. I mean, the more and more I look into science, the more I'm like, that's a ridiculous concept. But like, what if this life is all there was? That this is the only set of conscious experiences you'll ever have? It's like, that's so what a depressing way to look at the world. Holy shit. But at the same time, like he made a lot. He said a line that was pretty crazy where he's talking about, you know, gods that could never, you know, never have enough or whatever. He talked about gods, you know, like that couldn't be satiated. What was the line? Give me a second. can never depend on you to do that. I always say, control, command F, command F. There you go. And all the years we offered up to gods who couldn't get enough.
Mm-hmm.
That line is crazy. And honestly, that line to me is the meaning of life in the inverse. And if you can figure this out, you're in good shape. All the years we offered up to gods who couldn't get enough. That's unbelievable. You know, in that song Tonight Tonight, mm-hmm. like that's one of my favorite lines. We'll find a way to offer up the night tonight. Mm-hmm. But anyway, like every god demands a sacrifice.
I see so many moons when you play that song.
Huh?
I see so many moons when you play that song.
What song?
Tonight.
What do you mean moons?
You're talking about the one you were playing last night?
Smashing Pumpkins?
No, I got it mixed up. You know the one where it says like we'll find a way to.
That's Smashing Pumpkins.
That is the one you played it last night.
Tonight. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see moons. I'm surprised you don't know what that means. Like literal moons, like different phases of the moon, like up close over water.
Oh well, when they did that original video, they were up in space.
Really?
And the moon was really featured on that song.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Anyway, that line is crazy. Offering up gods who can't get enough. Every god demands a sacrifice. You know, if you look at Tom Brady, like his god has Super Bowl titles, and he's got to sacrifice his family.
Yep.
Right? Like you're gonna cut the throat of something. Someone is gonna bleed out for whatever god that you serve. That's a principle of the universe. You know, whether it's money, you got some people that are like so addicted to money and they can't stop even though they're quadrillionaires and it's not enough.
Yeah.
They got to have more.
Yep.
And that's why, like, when I look at like mega rich people, there is always a price to pay. Like that's one of those like internal things that people don't realize, at least spiritually speaking. You see somebody that's at the top of the pile, there's a lot of sacrifices that happen. There's a lot of dead bodies that they're standing on to get to that level.
Mm-hmm. This part too.
And so when everything you touch turns gold, it can weigh you down, it can make you old. But really, a lot of the meaning of life is to figure out which god to worship. And people think that, I'm going to worship, I'm not going to worship anybody. No. From my vantage point, all of us are designed to worship. It's impossible not to worship. Mm-hmm. So
if you think you're not worshiping anything.
Yeah. We're all worshiping something.
A lot of things that can help you, like
actively.
You can usually figure it out by looking at like where is most of your money going and where does most of your time go. That basically will tell you what you're worshiping or who you're worshiping.
Well, yeah, and you know she's right. She's talking about Pelosi. Like I'm not gonna get necessarily political, but y'all know the deal with these politicians. You know what I'm saying? Like the shit is like you got people that have power and can't get enough power, have money, can't get enough money, and you see their sacrifice. You see it in their body. You see it in their body language. You see it in the way that they had to sacrifice their own integrity. Every god is going to demand a sacrifice for you, and all of us, 100% of us as human beings, are worshiping in the real world some sort of god, and that worship costs us a sacrifice. Mm-hmm. And you have to offer up a sacrifice to any god, our God included. Now, obviously, the difference is that our God says, I will become the sacrifice that's necessary for us to work mm-hmm. well. But every god demands a sacrifice. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you're going to say, man, fuck all that, I'm going to be a secularist and come up with my own world and I'm blah, 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 that's cool. Then you're going to have something, whether it's an addiction or whatever, it demands a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And the real question is, we should follow a God that gets us a return for our investment. Right? So, like, that's a very pragmatic, practical way of looking at, mm-hmm. you know, the world. But really, in my view, the world comes down to who you worship and the sacrifice necessary for that worship to be enjoyed. So, you know, obviously, we've already got the whole template laid out for us. You know, we've been at it for 2,000 years. But even with people that say, "No, I'm not gonna follow organized religion, whatever," it doesn't matter. Like, you're worshiping something, mm-hmm. and you can figure out what God you worship by figuring out where all your sacrifices are going. That's one of the easiest ways to find out what God you're worshiping.
I'll tell you, the other thing, too, I was thinking about was we went to the ocean last night. I do some of my best thinking at the ocean. Something about being by the water, and I love it. Anyway, so I was thinking about how so for me personally, like I spent the majority of my life worshiping Yahweh, worshiping God, and like, you know, trying to follow what he wanted, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, I went through a really dark time and I was really angry at God. And it's okay to go through phases like that. Like I think it's actually pretty natural to the human existence, is that at some point we're going to get upset with God. We're going to get angry at a decision that he's made or however, whatever. So
100%.
I thought, because you used to say, oh, it's okay, like people should be able to do that. You should be able to be honest in your prayers and stuff. And so I was doing that, but I thought it was like, okay, so like for a couple months I can be angry at God. But then a couple months, it was like 6 months later, I was still angry. And years later, I was still angry. And I'm just now getting to the point, like as of like a short amount of time ago, that I'm not angry anymore. Like I'm getting some clarity and I'm getting some understanding of why things had to be the way that they are. And I don't think that you always understand those things. I don't think those things are always revealed to us. But one thing that I realized is everything that I turned to during that time of being like angry with God to make me like, because you know, you talk about worshiping or serving a God, but there's also like, all of those things that I turned to kind of like help me get through the crutches that I was leaning on, all of them made me feel so much like what that line said, like, they can weigh you down and make you old. That's how all of it felt. Everything made me more tired. Everything made me feel more frustrated, more angry. And it was literally the darkest period of my life. Never experienced a darkness like that before. And now that I'm kind of like coming back around, I realize that there are lots of different gods that you can serve. But you know you found the one true God, well, when your sacrificing ends up benefiting you. It's the weirdest thing. You don't feel more tired after. You feel he gives. He gives to you when you're sacrificing. But every other God that demands a sacrifice, you will feel that loss.
It is weird. You'll be physically completely run down, but emotionally, spiritually,
there's
whatever,
something there that
you're like on top of the moon after a hard day's grind I get that. And you know, obviously, you know, Emily figured it out. She's like, love, right? So like, if love is the God that you worship, then you know, you should be pretty safe, which I agree with 100%. If genuine love is our aim, then I believe it's going to inextricably lead us to the true God. But what people, even love itself has to be defined, because Tom Brady does love football. And I love watching him, but I think that he's sacrificing, objectively, he's sacrificing time with his family that he could have otherwise had, that he cannot get back because of his love for football. So, like, even love itself can be corrupted almost as a god because he loves football. A person would say, he loves football, but he loves himself more than football, which is true. But it's still a form of love. So it gets tricky. But I think that if you start with love as your aim, at least you can find yourself in the ballpark of getting there. Because obviously, from our view, the scripture says God is love. So if you truly make love your aim, then you're going to find God, or God's going to find you. Right? But then the question has to be, but love of what? Because again, you know, there are people that love certain things, and because of that, they make life a living hell for everybody else. Yeah. And for example, a drug addict loves that feeling of ecstasy and is willing to sacrifice. So
and we can get confused.
But I think that one it gives us at least a compass. Yeah. And then you can measure how close you are to that ideal based on the obvious sort of immediate effects of the people around you. So I just thought that was an interesting.
I think too the love concept is kind of interesting because you can get deceived by what is love and think that something is love when it's actually not. You know, like I'm a part of a lot of different forums with, moms and parents and stuff. And I'm part of one that has like, it's about, stepkids and stepmoms and all that stuff. And there was a stepmother, and she was saying like, I've been with these kids since they were born, basically. Like they were just a couple years old when I took over. I actually didn't tell you this one.
Okay.
A lot of them start this way. And then she said, the kid is now 16 years old and the kid wants to contact his drug addict mother, blah, blah, blah. And she's very upset about it because she feels like, I loved this kid. I put out everything for this kid. And now she said that the child is betraying her.
Holy
and I was
smokes.
like,
betraying her?
Yeah, that's how she was feeling about it. And she's looking at it as like, I've loved this child and I'm wanting love in return from them. But part of loving someone is understanding where they're at and understanding that, you see it all the time in divorced couples where they'll use the kid as a pawn and then the kid ends up getting sacrificed on the altar of one of their egos or both of their egos, instead of recognizing that the child has nothing to do with the reason why the two of you got divorced. You couldn't work it out, and that's you. You can't take that out on the kid. And children need to see their parents. Even if their relationship with their parent is really bad, eventually they want to be around their biological parents. And that doesn't mean that they're betraying you. But that's what I'm saying. Like with love, like in a pursuit of love, you can think that something is loving. So, I was going to type something. Sometimes I start typing and then I feel so tired, like to have these discussions that I drop it. But I was thinking like, you can't look at it that way. If you really were loving, because love gives expecting nothing in return. There's a different type of love where it's like give and take and you're expecting something back.
Sure.
But the love that a parent should have for a child, it shouldn't be that you're expecting something back, that this child is going to make, that kid, that's their mother.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that if you really love that child, that it is good for that child psychologically to seek out their mother and to have whatever relationship that they can. And it doesn't take away from what she did all those years for those kids. But putting that if she doesn't get that right, she's going to put that pressure on that child. And the child's going to be stuck in between, like wanting to see their mother while at the same time not betraying their so that's a tricky thing with the term, I guess, in my opinion, of love without the brackets of what
context.
makes love.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating. So that stepmother or foster parent, whatever, was looking at love from the perspective of her.
That's what I'm saying. It was like a kind of more of a selfish thing.
But if you notice what Emily says, she says drugs cause an artificial brain reaction compared to the feeling I get watching my son feel proud of himself. Like that's so fascinating because that is a completely other oriented thing, because it's the kid feeling proud of himself. She didn't say, when I say I'm proud of you, which is great, but it's him feeling proud of himself, because that has so many implications that the kid can sit back in a moment of excellence and say, damn it,
I did well.
I just did some shit.
Yeah.
That has so many implications of health for that. But it's completely other oriented. But as I'm reading that, we were contrasting it with that other mom, and no disrespect to her, it must be very difficult. But like, she couldn't see the difference between a self-oriented love and an other-oriented love, like what Emily just said. I thought it was really fascinating, like the way she phrased that as you were talking, because it was like, that is it, is the, I want you to feel proud of yourself, because I'm not always going to be here to say good job. Yeah. Right. And hell, Emily might be wrong one day. She might be on the wrong side of an issue, and the kid needs to be able to, but again, that's like completely other related versus, the other thing, which I think all of us struggle as parents, because our emotions are so inextricably linked to our kids that we can't like separate what we want from what they want and what's best for them. So anyway, that was like a crazy little meta moment. I didn't enjoy this song in the sense of it accomplished exactly what it was designed to do. It was very sad. It was very introspective. Yeah. They did a really, really good job with it. And that guy can really sing, because there are a lot of times when they just stripped everything down and it was only his voice. And I think that's a very intimidating thing to do for vocalists. And so if you're not really confident in your shit, then it's not going to go well.
Right,
See
right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is another 9.8 for me. For sure.
This is a 9.9.
There you go. There you go, Mojo. Mojo's
I like what he
just
did there.
a lot of bangers. Mojo, the next song,
we're playing two of them back to back. We're playing You're Alive and Sammy and Tex.
right.
Without any breaks.
I found a video that has both of them put together. So Mojo, call the play. If you want us to listen to You're Alive, stop it, comment on it, and then
No,
do
he already
Sammy and
said
Tex.
this link is the two tracks of them back to back. They were meant to be listened to. Some of the
Oh,
lyrics.
click on it. It might be the same exact one that I have just now.
He said, "Don't stop until you've
that
listened."
5
to both.
minutes. Who's it?
You're Alive and Sammy and
Is it
Tex.
Sav to Toe or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we shall return. We are coming
Vin
back
out, Vin out.
with more Savatage. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone. Yo, that'd be crazy if Trump got walked out
Yeah.
like I'm not wishing it on the man, but something weird is going
To
on.
the
over
paddy wagon.
there. Commercial break. We'll be right back. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull
You
that off.
can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee, a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Whoop! Buy our merch. I'm pretty sure that we just ended the commercial, but honestly, I cannot see anything. Ah! Hold on. Okay, yes, we did end the commercial. Okay, so we are doing the Savatage stream, the entire album. Today, half of it, and tomorrow, the other half. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are doing Savatage, You're Alive, and Sammy and Tex back to back. Without doing a break in between, because apparently they were meant to be played together. And then we'll break down both lyrics after. Shout out to Mojo, our DJ, for bringing us this experience. Mojo, I can totally see why you like this album. Sometimes when people show us music, I'm like, I don't get it. And then I rate it low. Unfortunately, we do have to do that. But with this stuff, I'm like, I get it. I get why you like this stuff. And I think that some of these songs are so relatable for all of us, even if you haven't been in the situation, like, getting that deep into drugs or, being homeless because of it or whatever. So definitely enjoying that. Soon as Vinny gets back, we will jump into the next 2 songs. In the meantime, how is everybody doing tonight? I've got one of the comment sections pulled up, so I can kind of see a few of you guys. Yeah, Emily. Emily said, real love is preparing your kid for the harshness while showing them the beauty of the world. I agree with that. That's something that when my first child was born, I promised her that I was going to make sure that she was always safe and everything was good for her. And that was probably the worst promise to make, because that doesn't prepare them. If you're going to protect them from everything and you don't want them to ever feel anything, then they're not getting prepared for what life is like outside of your home, which is not good. So I've been kind of trying to like resituate my head on that to actually be a better parent, which has been a little difficult.
All right, let's go. You're alive, and Sammy and Rex or Tex?
Tex.
Sammy and Tex. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
We just made reference to a text
I know.
a few minutes ago. Okay, so are we stopping after that, or are we doing it all just in one
He wants the whole
clump?
thing played straight through, because he said that was when the first song ends, the second song almost immediately starts. So don't stop until the second song is complete, because apparently these two tracks were meant to be listened to back to back.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna do exactly what our DJ has asked.
He's
us.
the DJ. That's what happens when you're the DJ, dear listener. All right, let's do it.
So DT returned to the ground he had burned in the past.
Oh, good for him.
In the press they all laughed and they said it never lasts. As a crowd they came in just to see a man back from the dead.
Jesus.
As he stood on the stage it echoed in his head. When you're skating on ice and then to take it, you gotta move fast or else you'll break it. Throw back your hair and let the wind rush by. And you're alive. So people take care when you're chasing a dream in the night. That the walls of the past don't interrupt your flight. Never stop, never turn, never look, never learn, so they say. Somewhere in time we must pay for yesterdays. You're skating on ice and then to take it, you gotta move fast or else you'll break it. Throw back your hair, let the wind rush by. And you're alive. Yeah, you're alive.
What a great album.
And you're alive. And you're alive.
Poppy sound, but it gets
Alive.
Here it goes.
And the second song.
Hey DJ, what you been up to? It's been a real long time and your bills past due. Stop right there, don't you look away.
Sounds like
You're at your
Metallica.
phone, no, it's time to play. Well, you know that I've been waiting and I'm really very patient, but you pushed me way too far. You owe me 30,000 and just growing while you're hidden in these bars. Now I would have said ducky, but the money by the bucket, I hear you're raking in. So please forgive my diction and prepare for crucifixion while I write your next of kin. So please don't turn away. You borrowed, now you've got to pay. Your mind's got a bit off track, time to readjust, cause Sammy's back.
Oh, this is
South Center's not a deal, DT's not a real as they tumble to the floor. The finisher was blind, DT thought of dying when Tex walked through the door. Now Tex was waiting there without hesitation, till the riot silence hung like death. And Tex was breathing, his body lay bleeding, a knife inside his chest. When Deacon's house burned there, he quickly lost terror, something tore inside. His face flipped in hatred, his mind formulated how this pimp would die. Sammy saw it in his eyes, thought a retreat would be wise. Stayed a bit too long, so I'll take my things and Sammy's gone.
My man Sammy was like, yo.
He decided.
Sammy saw it in his eyes and decided the treat would be wise.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow, that's so terrible. So DT returned, which was DT Jesus.
So DT is downtown Jesus. So
Yeah.
so when the guy was
and then they called him
himself.
Detox.
So oh yeah, DT for detox. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so that could go either way. He could either be downtown Jesus or he could be detox. The choice is yours. Gotham is yours. Okay, go ahead.
So that's so terrible. So he returns, and as soon as he's like the crowd comes in because they want to see a man that's back from the dead.
Yeah.
And that was like echoing in his head, but then it says like that the guy shows up
Because they started making money again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they started making money again. And he must have owed him for something. And the guy was a pimp, so that means he must have owed him for services rendered.
Yeah,
right?
but you know, that's funny because I assumed that it was because he was a drug dealer. So I assumed it was the guy that he was selling drugs for.
That he owed him money?
Yeah, because usually what ends up happening...
He couldn't get back on the re-up? Yeah,
well,
you're going to tell me what
happens
ends up happening
yeah,
with
I do.
drug
I'm
dealers
gonna,
in the
let
city?
me
Let
you know with your bandana.
Yeah, please inform me. Inform me. I'm ignorant.
When they're selling...
I'm glad to be with a scholar of your caliber.
Stop it!
Please tell me. I'm ignorant. I don't know. What do you have to say to us?
Stop it, babe.
Shout out to my man Christian Prince.
He's basically when they're a drug dealer and then all of a sudden they start using the drug, then they don't end up paying back the drugs that they owed, and then they've used the rest of them. So then he went off the rails.
Maybe
and
that's
drugs.
Biggie why he said, number 4, know you heard this one before, never get high on your own supply. That's probably why he was saying that. Because he couldn't get back on the
Are you
re-up.
still mocking me?
Well, it's just funny because you're like, well, you know what happens when people sell jobs? I'm like, listen to this. Tell me, suburban person who didn't even know what a person looked like when they were high. Tell me how the drug game actually. Tell me how the drug game actually works in the inner
gosh!
city.
Why do I sit here and take this from you? So anyway, I'm assuming that did it say that he? I thought that he said something. Hold on, that's
hey
the second
DT,
song.
what you been up to? It's been a real long time, and your bills are past due. Stop right there. Don't look away because you've had your fun. Now it's time to pay. So he's like checking him at, like after a show, and he's like, "Man, trying to hear that shit, bro. I'm a rock star." And he's like, "Hey, we got to have a conversation about this." Well, you know, I've been waiting, and I'm really very patient, but you pushed me way too far because you owe me $30,000, and with interest, it's been growing while you've been hidden in these bars. What?
That's what I'm saying. Like, who decided the interest? Like, so he owed him money, and then he's like, also you're paying interest. So it's like, what is this number actually? You know?
Yeah. No, I know.
And who decided the interest?
The mafia's really big on that too. Is loan sharking. Mm-hmm. You know, they call it something else. I'm not going to tell you what they call it, but not on the stream because it's too. There's a racial connotation.
Oh! I thought it was because my suburban white self couldn't handle the information. Because then I might repeat it back to you as if I know something.
Now I would have said duck it. Is it really duck it or fuck it in there?
Well, are you on song 2 or song 1?
Song 2. We should probably go back to the first lyrics on the first song though. Okay.
The lyrics are not super long on the first one.
So the first one is "You're Alive." So DT
This is when he returns, which we talked about.
To the ground that he had burned in the past. Okay, so he went back to the band.
Yeah.
And they all laughed, and they said it never lasts.
Yeah, that's so, come on. They laughed, and they...
What?
I don't know. Like, that's the thing with, like, some of the press people. Like, we've seen on some of these... You know, like, we've seen on some of these true crime things, like, they're not even, like, even where is their humanity? They're talking about some girl, she got raped and murdered, and they're like talking about this information.
Oh yeah,
like,
I know, because they got to break
the story. Like their humanity is lost.
Yeah.
So here's this guy who was doing great things with his music, but he leaves it, and then he just Mojo, you can't make fun of me too.
Nah. You got numbers there. You got Emily. Like, tell him, Sori. Tell him about the trunk game, Sori. And Mojo's like, yeah, do that shit, nigga. Tell him about the trunk game, nigga. You school all these people. Lewis and Maine, bitches up and down. What you know about that?
Well, I know a lot because I have a black friend.
Yeah, she been on that gang shit, bro.
Anyway, so like here you have this guy, he's been through all that, and now he's returning, like he's stopping the mess of his life that he was, and he's trying to return and go back to it, and then you're gonna laugh at him? Like why couldn't the press just be like, why wouldn't it be like a redemption story? You can't post you're gonna laugh at the guy?
Yeah, it's just like Justin Bieber, man. Like when Justin Bieber first came out, like he was this little kid and he was like singing R&B music and everybody loved him, and then the press just completely turned on him and crucified him. It happens with literally every single celebrity. It happened to Brady, happened to Jordan. Like, it's, and I think Lauryn Hill said it best. They'll hail you and then they'll nail you. But it's human. It's to me, it's both of our natures acting simultaneously on a person. So like, because we're created in the image of God, and kind of like Emily said in the previous song, like when God does something good, he looks at it and he goes, that was good. It's badass. And so because of that, we all enjoy when things are done excellently, because that's in our DNA.
Yeah.
And so when you see somebody that's not you, but they're doing it excellently, like if I'm doing something excellently, I can't see it because I'm in me. So other people have to tell me, yo, that was crazy. Then after that, I could say, oh, okay. But so what happens is I see a person, Justin Bieber. Oh, he's singing excellently. I'm going to go and I see him doing it and I appreciate the beauty of what he's doing. So I recognize that and I celebrate it. And that's how you become a celebrity. Mm-hmm. A celebrity is when people celebrate your excellence. But then, so that's the image of God in us. But then the sinful nature comes in and says, yeah, but it's not you. You're not being celebrated like that. Why should they be celebrated like that? And then we immediately bring the knives out and start crucifying people. And it happens on a cycle. Somebody does something excellent. We love that they do it. We admire it. But they're getting all the attention. We don't like that. So we're going to crucify them so you can say, oh, you're just like us. So if you look there, he was at the top of the world. He lost it all. He burned the bridges as a rock star. People love that story. They love hearing that story. Now he's coming back. They don't want to celebrate it. They want to mock it. They want to be cynical because they don't want this guy to have this big comeback thing. Because, like one time LeBron James, he lost the NBA Finals one time. And everybody was like happy that he lost because people were such haters. And LeBron was like, well, in a week, I'm going to be in the Bahamas, with my family. And all these people are going to have to go back to their pathetic lives. And people were mad at him. Oh, my God, that's so arrogant, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what do you mean? Of course, he's exactly right. He's going to the Bahamas. And if you're that small of a person that you want somebody to lose, you don't even know them, but you just want them to lose because you're personally jealous of them because he had the audacity to choose where he was going to work. Like, yeah, you have a pathetic life. You're absolutely a pathetic person if you take joy from that. I'm not saying if you're a fan and you're happy that your team won. That's not what he was addressing. He was talking about specific people who hated him just because he was LeBron James and was happy to see him fail. Well, if you're that petty of a person, you absolutely have a small life and you'll probably never rise above your current circumstance to sniff the Bahamas. So I had no problem with him saying that. Uh-huh. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I was making like $25,000 a year at the time. So it's not like I was, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah, like that was like so real. But yeah, anyway, so that's the first half of the story. The media is doing all this crazy dumbness. So now he hooks up. So like now, so you got the media making fun of him, and then he's got this situation. Now he's run into it. It's one of those things where it's like you cannot escape your past sometimes. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
I know, yeah.
Like, sometimes you can't escape your past.
I mean, I do think
so,
that.
Like, I just and then you go like, so the media was like mocking him in the previous song because like, oh, that was his, and now that he's actually successful and he shut up the media. Well, now look, he's got this guy coming in to collect. You see what I'm saying? Like, Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I mean, I do think that when you've made a lot of bad choices, just because you decide that you want to start over, like you don't necessarily get a start over. You have to start where you are from the backwards position that you are, and you have to work your way forward, and then you can get past that. So if you did owe that guy the money, that's not just going to disappear. So that should be in your head. If you stole from somebody when you were in that situation, you need to replace what you stole. If you know what I'm saying, like you got to go back and right your wrongs. And you see that in the, they have those, the classes like the 10-step programs and Alcoholics Anonymous and stuff like that. Like you have to write letters to the people, apologize for what you've done. And you've got to make right your wrongs. So that is part of the process. And I think that there's a certain level of respect that you can have for yourself when you do that, because you're like, okay, like it's just another phase in the whole, like it's one thing to say, oh, that was wrong, I'm going to change that. And like repentance is a whole nother thing, because you're like, okay, that was so wrong, I'm going to fix it to the best of my ability. Obviously there's some stuff that can't be replaced. I mean, maybe you sold off somebody's heirloom for your drugs. You're not getting the heirloom back. So you're going to have to...
Or their car.
Twice.
Right?
No, baby, if somebody sold the car,
maybe somebody entrusted you with their vehicle and then you sold it for drugs and never told them the truth. Not once. Right?
There's that. And every time this comes up, I say the same thing. This is a horrible situation, but for some reason, the comedy side of it happening, like, has that ever happened? Anybody in the stream, has anybody ever borrowed your car and sold it for drugs? No, probably not. It's happened twice to poor Vinny. I don't know what it is. It's like, can you see the comedy side of that?
I could see the. I could see the. Well, the thing is one of them was like, "Yo, I got to tell you something. That time with the car, I sold it for drugs." That guy, I forgave him immediately, and I said, "We're never going to talk about this ever again. It's over. Don't bring it up to me ever again." But the other guy, man, fuck you for that shit. And the other guy,
yeah, let that be enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah.
But no, that's a good point. People think, well, I'm changed now, so all the shit that I did previously is just tabula rasa. No, the fuck it's not. No. Like, you once you started making all this money, think about it, because he says, like, yo, I was going to let it go, but now I'm seeing you're making all this money, so hold on for a second.
That's what I'm saying. He should have done that first.
You should have proactively went and got that man his money. You got your friend killed, bro. Honestly. Like, you got your friend killed. That's
the way I was seeing it. You know, that should have been, because he said that it's been a long time and your bills are past due. And when he was in that situation, like, he could have hounded him. I mean, the man was getting money somehow to feed his habits. Right. So he could have had somebody going and roughing him to get that money. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, yeah. But he didn't. He let him go through his whatever and then try to come out. And at that point, I think he should have handled his business.
Yeah, but he just got his man. So Sammy started dealing. DT started reeling as they tumbled on the floor. The furniture was flying. DT had thought of dying when Tex walked through the door. Now Tex wasn't waiting and without hesitation grabbed Sammy by the throat. Sammy started shaking and fried sanded bacon hanging on a coat. And he pulled out a knife. Yeah, man, you know, he's rumbling around in this fight, having this altercation about money that he legitimately owed the guy.
That's what I'm saying.
And he gets his friend killed. I mean, but again, like, when you're talking about addicts and addiction, like, that self-accountability, like, we know somebody that became part of the 12-step program, and it was bumpy, right, for like a year and a half.
Honey, we've known a lot of people in that situation. I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
No, we've got a specific person that's in a 12-step program. The kid just met.
Oh, yeah.
And
Wait, what about it? What was the thing?
She it was bumpy, but like one of the major turning points for all of us was the accountability factor.
Yeah.
Like she started saying, this is my bad, this is my bad, this is what I'm going to do. And there were no excuses, no explanations, no nothing. It was this is where I'm at. Because they had a big thing on, it's big on accountability. And all the people that you just ran through and ran over and betrayed and all that shit. Like, that you want to have because there's some people where I'm a big believer in not every relationship is supposed to be eternal this side of heaven, right? So like, I'm a big believer, and there's some relationships where it's like, okay, that's over. I'll see you on the other side. Like, I'm talking about people you still want to have a relationship with. If you still want to have a relationship with certain people, then you have to go back and say, yo, this, and that. Hey, you know what I'm saying? If you don't, that's cool, but you can't have it both ways. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, for sure.
And the sad part about people like this is they're friends. It's really it. So, for example, we had this kid. He was ranked. His name was Maurice, but we used to call him Cheese. I've told the story a couple times. We used to call him Cheese, but he was ranked in high school, and we had colleges, universities showing up to the ghetto to talk to Cheese, to watch him play. I mean, he was just in our neighborhood, like unbelievable talent. Now, I don't know if he could have made the NBA because I didn't really have the perspective. I was a kid, you know what I'm saying? He was just a big guy on the block. I mean, he was ranked, you know, and he would talk about his rankings. He pulled the paper out every week, and you know, to be in New York City and be at the top of the pile for your age in New York City for basketball is significant. Because, I mean, we're like ground zero for basketball. And on the other side, you had this guy named Ed, and Ed was smart. In my opinion, Ed was the smartest guy on the block, but he just wanted to be a gangster. Like, he wanted to, and I don't know if it was little man syndrome or whatever, but for perspective, he was shorter than me. So, but he was...
Like a lot shorter?
Yeah, significantly shorter than me. Huh? I can't hear what you're saying. Can't hear you. Oh, like Fortin?
Yeah. Oh
nah, not as small as Fortin, but somewhere in between there. But anyway, but Ed was like the guy in our hood. Like, he was the leader. He was the smallest guy, but he was so intelligent, hilariously funny, and everybody just like wanted to be around Ed. Well, Ed decided he was going to rob these kids from Taft for a jacket. Taft is a high school. You had Taft, you had Johnson, and then you had Truman. I went to Truman.
How much could this jacket have been worth?
Probably $150. It was a North Face. I mean, it was a, you know, plus it's New York. But here's the thing. Taft, literally, my zone school was Taft. We went to sign up, and my mother said, nope, he is not going to this school. Then I found out that Taft was training animals for tomorrow. That's what we all. The acronym. That's what everybody nicknamed. No, Taft was for the president, but.
Oh no, I know, but the acronym that. But the acronym
because these people were crazy, and Nietas in there. The gang Nietas were basically Latin King light. They were throwing people out of windows, no bullshit. So Ed decided he was gonna roll up on some Taft dudes, and at gunpoint rob somebody for their jacket. Oh. So Cheese and Ed are walking to the train station one day, and sure enough, them Taft boys rolled up on him. And that was the end of Cheese's hoop dreams. He got hit in the thigh, basically, and had to have all this surgery, barely made it out, and that was it. He couldn't move anymore, he couldn't play anymore. And he had nothing. He had nothing to do with it. But that's what I'm saying. It's like when you're that kind of person and you're so self-absorbed, your friends get caught up in the crossfire, and you know, like Ed, I don't know where he is right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where Cheese is right now. And like I said, I don't know if Cheese could have made the NBA, but at least he could have got like into a Canadian league. You can make good money overseas playing basketball. There's a lot of like NBA players that will leave the NBA and play overseas if you get enough money in China and things like that. So Cheese, he had a future. At minimum, even if he didn't make the NBA, he was going to get a D1 scholarship. It would have given him 4 years of free college. That's so and his entire life, the trajectory of his entire life was completely changed because Ed decided he wanted to G somebody for their jacket. And like the worst possible people. I mean, we were in a bad neighborhood, so he assumed, and we were deep in our neighborhood, so he assumed that nobody would ever come to our neighborhood and do it. But they didn't come to our neighborhood. You still have to go to the train station. So the train station was like 5 blocks away, you know, from where we were. So you're outside of our hood. Like you're out, like, yeah, no, those guys never rolled up in our hood directly, but nobody ever did that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And like, it didn't process in his head like, dudes can still catch you. You know what I'm saying? But anyway.
That is so freaking sad.
So that's what I was thinking when I was like looking at that song. I'm like, so this Tex guy ends up getting the brunt of this guy's bullshit. Like, if you're making all that money, you should have fucking paid that guy back immediately. You know what I'm saying?
Why are you gonna wait? Why are you gonna wait? And the fact that he had to show up means you owe him an apology. I'm sorry. You're completely right. I'm gonna get you that money. Here's a way to start.
Holy
you know
shit! They closed Taft in 2008.
Wow.
I'm telling you, Taft was bad. Training House tomorrow shit was horrible. I didn't know they shut it down though. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you guys saw the picture, the security cameras and all this shit. I was in a good school. Mm-hmm. I was in a good school. Dudes getting chopped up, sliced up, shot up. Girls. Anyway, this went way too long, but there was just, the lyrics just put me in like a completely, there's a lot of stuff that's being said on this record that is really significant. Yeah. That if you really take the time to think about what he's saying, and if you look at the overarching story, there's a lot of real nuggets of life wisdom there. If you can really look at what's being said, I agree. There's a lot here than just, wow, these are good, musicians who've mastered the craft. Obviously that, but how many people are going to like craft a story like this where it's like, yeah, that's a great comeback story. Like, most of us would end it at the comeback. Like, yeah, you made it to the stage and end it there. And it's like, no, in the real world, that's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it works on TV. This right here is like real grimy, real world shit. So shout out to Mojo for this. Shout out to this band. This is a 9.9 for me. I'm putting both songs together. 9.9 for me, dear listener. What do you give it?
I think I'm going to match you. Yeah. I'm going to match you on that one. 9.9. Very, very well done. Wow. John
Oliver's a lyrical genius. Yeah, I mean, if he's the guy that wrote the lyrics here, like, people throw that word around, but there's, like I said, there's a lot of, and I'm sure I've missed like 48% of the other nuggets of wisdom. I'm sure if we did this again, we'd find the same thing. But anyway, shout out to Charles Benson. Shout out to Mojo. It's a 9.9. We've got another song on the way, and don't
touch that dial.
Touch that dial, because tomorrow, is it same time, same bad channel?
6 o'clock.
6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're not going to be late next time, Mojo. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is for tomorrow, where we will conclude the album. Right now, we're going to song number 8 on the track. We will see you on the other side of the break.
No, it's not song 9.
Vin out.
Sori out.
Down. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option, as Sori says. 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft.
What?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch. Yeah.
Buy merch indeed, a child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener.
DJ Mojo in the house with an entire Savatage or Savatage stream. We have done the first 7 songs so far on the album tonight. Song number 8 on the album is called St. Patrick's, which we have actually already reacted to. So if you're interested in hearing that breakdown, just look in our repertoire and you'll find that one. I'll
put it up here if I can, once we coordinate the thingamajiggy.
If it's not there, just look up St. Patrick in our thing. Savatage, and you shall find it.
Hector in the house.
What's up, Hector? So the next song on our stream tonight is going to be, Can You Hear Me Now? St. Patrick's was about a prayer to God.
Yeah, and just for everybody because these things get chopped up and released as singles as well. Right now on the album, there's a guy that we're following. His name is DT Jesus, whether Downtown Jesus or Detox Jesus. He started as a drug dealer. He became a rock star, became a drug addict, fell off as a rock star, then basically got his shit together, got back in the band. They started touring again. He was kicking ass. And some people from his old lifestyle when he was an addict came and wanted to collect their money. And he's like, fuck you, I'm not giving you your money. He owed the guy $30,000 plus interest. They get into a tussle. His friend Tex shows up to help him in the fight. The bad guy goes and knifes his friend and he dies. His friend dies over this scuffle. The next song is basically a prayer to God. And then this song is called Can You Hear Me Now? So that's where we are. Let's check it from there, dear listener. Can you hear me now?
Last song of the night. Enjoy it, folks.
Savatage. Let's go. I'll be the judge of that, Mr. Omar.
We.
If I close my eyes, would it all subside to an echo in the night of a distant fading light? Then a stranger silhouette, a burning cigarette, and somewhere in the haze, passage to the maze. Can you hear me now? Or are there just too many doors between then and now? Need ever reach on through, pull you back somehow. That don't happen anymore. Still in the night, I think I hear you calling. I have walked this stage as the music played. They knew every word, but they never heard. For they never changed. It's all very strange as I'm standing here contemplating years. Can you hear me now? Are there just too many doors between then and now? You need ever reach on through, pull you back somehow. Well, that don't happen anymore. Still in the night.
Just gotta hear that bridge again, like the intro to that. That's hard as fuck. Right here. And then that synth is accented. I don't know if that's a synth or a pedal or what. And then the solo. And then the background guitar is melodic in itself. Hear it. Guys, there's not a lot of modern bands that could put together a bridge like that. No. Like to this day, nobody's fucking with that bridge, bro. That shit, that right there. The closest I've come to feeling that way about a bridge is like stuff that Dime used to do, because like Dime's attitude as a guitarist would just come out in the riffs that he was playing. Like, this guy, I've been focusing more on the vocalist because the vocalist is so intriguing to me right now because of how he kind of phases in and out of styles in the same verse.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, he's got like this very grimy, guttery, like gutter, not guttural, but gutter, just sounds like a grimy street person who could sing. You know what I'm saying? But then like 2 seconds later, 2 bars later in the song, it's completely clean and smooth. And like, that's what I mean about like owning it and humanizing it. And like, you can stay in the same key, but you do a whole bunch of things differently in the same key.
Yeah.
Right? Like vocally. And that humanizes your... So I've been focusing a lot on him, which rightly so, because he's a ridiculous talent. But that guitar right there was kind of like, that middle was like, he was like, you know what? I'm going to just show people let me just show you guys real quick what it's about.
Sit back.
Rest in peace to the homie. That sucks that he died so early.
Yeah. Mojo has something he wants us to read on this one. So he said, the next track up would actually be St. Patrick's, which we talked about before. But you've listened to this song back in December, which is when I decided I was going to submit this entire album for a reaction. So what's happened after Tex was killed is DT has fled the club and ends up running until he finds himself outside of St. Patrick's Cathedral in downtown Manhattan. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
A door has mistakenly been left open at this late hour, and DT walks in and prays, searching for answers to what has happened and to assuage the guilt he feels over the death of his friend. He gets no answers from God. He leaves the church and ventures out into the streets to find his answers there, with the temptation to return to his own life lurking just over his shoulder.
Wow.
Also, this is a song that even though it was written before Chris Olivia was killed, every time I hear it, I can't help but feel that John is singing it to his brother.
100%.
Which totally.
100%.
There was some of the thing when he was saying, "Still in the night, I think I hear you calling," like that part. I was like, "Oh man, okay, yeah." You could kind of feel it there.
That to me, people talk about like the problem of evil, the problem of suffering, and like the starving mother in Africa thing. Like I've reconciled that to myself. Like I've got it pretty. But I'll tell you. People who have to struggle to get somewhere, like achieving rock stardom, is extremely difficult.
Mm-hmm.
All those nights, sleeping in the van out in the cold or whatever it is that they had to do to get to that point and then die because somebody went into the wrong lane and now this guy's just gone like that after they've grinded so hard to achieve their dream. It's really frustrating. This is like their second record. He died like two or 3 years after this record came out. So like he didn't really get to see how big the band was gonna become.
you know, this is so freaking crazy.
I just have I have serious problems with those situations. And there are some situations where it's like, yo, that person was supposed to die, bro. Like with Vaughn. Like there were so many things that should not have happened that night.
Yeah.
That happened. And it's like, yo, obviously that was your time to go. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, I mean, did we say that he struggled with his own bouts of alcoholism and different stuff like that?
The guitarist?
The
or
Olivia.
I don't know.
Chris Lee. Well, it's just crazy because, like, okay, so he's driving. It's 3:30 a.m. and him and his wife are traveling, and then an oncoming car operated by a drunk driver crossed the median and struck Olivia's car head on. She survived the crash, but he was killed instantly. The drunk driver, who had 7 prior drunk driving DUI convictions, survived with minor injuries and was later found guilty of DUI manslaughter, DUI serious injury, and vehicular homicide, and served 18 months in prison and a 5-year sentence.
Yeah.
18 months? He took this guy's entire life away.
I know.
A whole family.
But again, it's like,
I just think
she lived, he lived, minor injuries, he's killed instantly.
I know.
And it's like, I'm not saying that God should be like, well, he's a rock star, he should survive. But this guy, you're drunk? You're on your 7 DUI?
That's the thing.
Fucking kill that guy and like let him die. Like, we'll feel bad for him, but everybody will kind of say the same thing at the funeral, right? We'll all say the same thing at the funeral. But why this guy?
See, this is what I'm saying. Like, somebody gets caught with like a friggin' ounce of weed, and they're thrown into jail and barely able to get it. It just. But then here's this drunk driver. The first time that you're drinking and driving, I think you should automatically go to jail for a year. Automatically. Like, there's no wiggle room for that. If you get caught again, you should go for 3 years or 5 years. Like, I think that it should be so fucking heavy what happens to people when they're drinking and driving. Like, there was a bunch of people at my house, and there was a birthday party that had taken place. The guy friggin' got lost because he shouldn't have passed my house if he was leaving where he said he was leaving.
Yeah.
He had teenagers in the vehicle with him. He wrecked that car. We had another drunk driver come down my street, smacked into my car with his truck, completely destroyed. If anybody would have been out there, they would have been killed instantly. And here you have, I mean, it worked out for me. I was able to get a nice car, you know. The insurance really worked out for me.
I remember that night. I remember because the car was completely flipped, and I remember because we were at a prayer meeting that day. Now I remember running out there and talking to Jesus, like, okay, like I'm ready. I'm ready to see these bodies, but
I wasn't. I stayed at the house. I said,
I know,
I'm not
you
going
stayed
out
inside.
there.
I was like, all right. I was like, it's like you got to give me the help to see these bodies, but I got to go in there to make. I mean, because somebody could still be alive in there.
If you and homegirl hadn't ran over there, then I would have. You and 2 girls ran over there. I said maybe like there might have been a couple guys that ran over there too.
Yeah,
I just knew that you and, you know, the other one with a medical background, you 2 ran over there, and so I said there's no reason for me to go over
I
there.
remember
What
talking
am
to
I
God
going to
and
do?
being like, all right, and everybody was alive.
Not even her fingernails were scratched.
Yeah. She had that little, what was it, like a panda bear or some shit like that?
They were white. I remember them being white. She probably had a panda bear on one. But
Well, it was funny because the guy, the kid's father, the teenager's father, jumped out of the second car and was about to destroy that guy.
I don't even understand. Did he not know the guy was drunk when they got in the car?
I don't know. He didn't really seem all there himself, really, but he was about to murder that guy. And so
He used the guy's shirt.
I jammed him. I took him by his shirt. And I was like, yo, Kyle, get this fucking guy out of here. Kyle's just sitting there like, oh, fucking move the guy over here. I had my back turned to the guy and everything. I'm like, oh my God. But I couldn't let him just murder this guy.
Yeah,
you know
but you
saying?
used somebody else's shirt as like a shield to block their line of sight.
I did. I said, don't even look at him. Stop looking at him. Don't say anything. Stop looking at him.
Some of the ways you improvise is so friggin' funny. Because I would never, like, use the shirt on somebody else's body to... It
worked.
Funny. It did.
It accomplished my
purposes. It did.
But, okay, so he did... The one that died wasn't even the one with the substance abuse issue. It was his brother, which obviously exponentially increases it after you lose your brother to a drunk driver. It's just fucking horrible. Horrible situation. And those are the issues that I have with God. Like, it's the ironic things, like, why is he the only one that died when this guy was a 7-time DUI guy? What the fuck? Or why not let Vaughn just die in the streets? Why let him get off for all these murders? He got off for all these murders he committed, and then he gets killed on something completely unrelated to all the other shit that he was doing. Like, why even let the guy get famous? Just get, like, I don't know. But this is hard.
Yeah, but I've thought of that a lot of times, and the only thing that I can come to is that there's no way for God to directly go after everything like that. Like, let's, we always say, well, we decide what's wrong based off of what we don't have issues with or what we do have issues with. But I was thinking, if God went after everything that, like, the serious crimes that people did and punished those, then people would not act naturally from what they would act out of fear. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to get in trouble for it or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it would alter everything. And it's always been about what's going on inside somebody's heart.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just not very satisfying.
Well,
because
I don't think that there's a satisfying answer. I'm just saying I think that that's part of it.
Yeah, man. I'm sure there's a reason, and it doesn't shake my faith in God as far as, like, but it is to me an untied shoelace where I'm like, I understand the lady in Africa. I understand 9/11. It's situations where you've got 7 DUIs, and then you've got this guy that worked his ass off to get to where he is, and then in the altercation, he's the only one that dies, and then the guy that's a scumbag, I'm sorry, but he's not a scumbag because you killed a famous person. You've got 7 fucking DUIs. And why is he still alive? Which I feel terrible saying that also. Mm-hmm. Like, who are you to say that this guy should die? Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is, well, if somebody had to die that day, make it that fucking guy, not this guy who's making all this amazing music. What the hell? But, God has his own purposes, and I'm sure when it's all over, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But right now, I hate when shit like that happens. I can't stand it. Yeah. I can't, and I have no problem saying that as a Christian. Everybody knows where we're at with it. But I hate ironic shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I hear you.
That's the shit that just, like, makes me so angry. But anyway.
So, but this song isn't even about that because this came out before that situation even happened. So, he's talking about this is after he left the church, didn't get any answers from God, and now he's back out on the streets.
Right.
And he has his old life calling him back. Because, and I think that's a big thing that a lot of us, I think, can relate to. Like, the more times that you, like, fuck up, or the bigger the fuck ups, the more it makes you want to just be like, oh, you know what, forget it. And it happens with, like, you hear people that, like, I remember I came up in the dieting age. Like, I don't even know if people still rave about that. But, like, it was like, just everybody was always talking about dieting, this diet, that diet, whatever. But, like, there was that, maybe, like, you broke part of your diet. Maybe you're not supposed to eat carbs. You had a little bit of carbs, and then you just say, you know what, fuck it, and you go have a big ice cream and a bowl of chips, and you know what I mean? Like, because you made the one mistake, then you just go and you just make a big giant mistake.
Right.
And I think that the same thing, like, in this situation, like,
right.
Obviously what you did was wrong. You should have paid your debts. And because you didn't, and when the guy confronted you, you fought him on it instead of actually paying him back. Now your friend is dead, and now you have that guilt on you. But he was already, like, making this big lifestyle change to not rely on the drugs and everything that he was doing to get him by. And now he has this giant ball of guilt. Reality is there. Like, now he has to face the death of his friend that he had something to do with.
Yeah. And
he has to face it sober. So obviously, when he goes to the church and he doesn't hear anything from God, then he's back out on the streets, and the monkey on his back is always calling him. So
yeah.
the homie's having a hard time. It's a very hard night. It's a very, very hard night.
Good point. I've walked the stages of music played. They knew every word, but they never heard, for they never changed. And that line is interesting because I think that's a lot of things that artists go through. Is that people are saying, this was Rivers of Nihil, whatever, had that song where at the end of the song he was telling the crowd to stop cheering for him, and the entire point of the song was, you guys have no idea, like, what's behind this and what it took me to get to, so stop cheering because you're not getting it. So that line right there, like they knew every word, but they never really heard. That's a crazy line because he's dealing with all this shit. And notice it's really funny because he says, because they never changed.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is he needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
You need to change, bro.
Yeah.
You're the one that just got your friend killed. The audience doesn't need to fucking change. You do. But I understand the sentiment though, because like a lot of us are like this. Like we think the problem is always outside. It's always other people. And you know, politicians are really good at getting that trait in human beings where it's always other people. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, we need to change. You know, and this is like so clear to me because of what we do now and being able to be welcomed by the LGBT community. And I am so different now. I needed to change. My mindset needed to change. My level of empathy needed to change. I needed to change. But our friends weren't saying, you need to change, you need to change. They were just patiently walking you through and making themselves available and things like that. My point is, like, a lot of us are like this. Like, we think everybody needs to change. Of course, everybody needs to change because none of us have arrived yet. You know what I'm saying? But it's like the number one person that needs to change is the person in the mirror. And we're always looking at other people to change things and not realizing that we have, you know, but which is one of the things I really admire about what you've been doing recently with you know, the active imagination stuff, because to me that is looking at yourself in the mirror from all the possible different angles, you know. And I don't want to lose people because, you know, it's a very niche sort of idea, Jungian active imagination, but I really admire your ability to go out there and consistently confront that because I know like how difficult that is. But when people are truly serious about changing, they end up doing radical things like the things that you're doing.
Thank you for that.
And as long as you see people like always pointing at other people, you know, like you know, it was some crazy thing on the Supreme Court where they voted like 157 Republicans voted against codifying marriage for gay people. And so I shot a video and somebody kept saying, why do you keep saying we? You're not like those people, you know, the evangelicals. I said, yeah, but they're still my people. So like instinctually, I'm always going to like say, yeah, those are our folks. And because of that, all of us are responsible. Because I'm so big on personal accountability. But how do you marry your own personal responsibility to change with also the understanding of collectivism that I have, that you cannot function in the world individually completely. You function in the context of a collective.
Yep.
And you can say relationship, but I don't care what you call it. A family is a collective of people that all have the same last name. Like that tells you something. Like your first name is your individuality and then your last name is your community.
Yeah.
So, you know, you got these, my point in all that is to say, if we were more focused on where we need to change, and I understand a lot of people look at it like false guilt, self-blame, that type of thing. But if you look at it like, I'm the one that most needs to change. So if you look at your music, if music is your vehicle of tapping into that world, then it needs to change you more than it changes everybody else. Like, whatever your thing is,
right,
it needs to change you more than it changes other people. And if your focus is on, well, it's not changing other people, then I think you're missing it. I think the people that change the most people are the people that change the most themselves. Because
I agree with that.
Though there's a million people that's pointing out and saying this is wrong, there's very few people that are saying, here's where I'm wrong and this is where I need to go. This is how we need to get there. And so anyway.
Yeah, I think that part of that is because if you don't do the work for yourself, then there's steps that you miss. So if you are never taking a shower, but you believe that people should be clean, and then all of a sudden you have to explain to somebody how to take a shower and they've never had a shower before,
Right.
then you're going to miss a bunch of really obvious steps. So I think that, you know.
He was on the way to the show.
Damn.
When he died. They were all waiting to go on. Can you imagine?
Oh, God.
That's one where we got to have that conversation. That's just so cruel. Like I said, do I believe God works all things for the good of those who love Him and call according to His purpose? I believe that 100%. I just need to know how the fuck that works in this situation.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that, you know, like it doesn't affect me like that. It does, but when you think about how big their crowd must have been, and that got announced obviously at that thing, how many people do you think in that crowd were people that would drink and drive? How many people were affected by what happened because they were waiting for the show to start and they had to feel that feeling of now the show will never start because somebody chose to drink and drive? So how many lives were saved as a result of that one? I mean, there's just, and that's just one angle of the many angles. And I'm not saying that fixes everything. I'm just saying that there are things like, if you look at all like why the negatives or it doesn't make sense and you just focus on that, it's never going to make sense. But when you have to live something out and you have to see how, like I went through multiple things in my life that were really horrible and that I wouldn't wish on anybody. But when I'm in these, you know, different forums with these girls and they're talking about things that they've been through, and I know from experience how terrible that is, even though I didn't experience it the same way as them, and I'm able to say, hey, and say different things to them, like I see the value in what I went through. And that is extremely valuable to me, to be able to help somebody else and to say something to that person that maybe I wish that somebody would have said to me in that moment. Or,
yeah,
you know, there was a lot of stuff that when I was going through, you said a lot of things that you probably don't even remember, but were so significant to me in that time of pain. Like they were just things that you would say on the regular when somebody gets into those situations. But those were super meaningful things to me that now I'm able to say those things. And if you would have taught me those things, I wouldn't remember them to say to those girls in those situations. But because I went through it, I felt the pain of it, and then I felt the healing of the words that you were saying, then I'm able to apply that to somebody else. So I just think that there's so much that we don't see. There's so much we don't know. And, you know, I believe that God is going to do what He said He's going to do, which is He's going to work all things out for the good. So we might not understand all of it, and we can't see the end of all things, but he's gonna work it out. And I think that when it's all over, it's gonna make sense to us. Right now, no, it doesn't always make sense, but you know, I guarantee a lot of lives were saved from that.
No, I see that. I think that's valid. I mean, obviously, you know, there was a Christmas Eve where 6 people ended up being killed in a car accident, and it was my folks, but it was my folks' fault. Not my parents, but people I was hanging around with. It was their fault. And they killed 2 innocent people and their dog, along with all their other friends. And yeah, man, like if they could have heard that story, you know, who knows? Maybe, no. That makes a lot of sense. Rest in peace to the homie. Yeah, man, I think this is a good place to like park the because we got part 2 coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
A lot of deep discussions you know, happening on this one. Metal Adventures actually got to meet the big homie Chris. That's pretty badass.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Metal Adventures. I don't know if he's got a YouTube channel, but shout out to Metal Adventures' YouTube channel if he has one.
Hey, what's up, Danny?
Hey, Danny Lee, OGT in the house. Yeah. Really good song selection. Definitely a little bit of downer, but I'm not. We can't be afraid of negative emotions.
Yeah,
okay?
but I don't see.
So it's not a downer. I'm saying like I'm a little down. I don't want people to like it's like they're good songs. It's just like it's a hard thing to wrestle with, and I hate the fact that they were playing rockstar shit when they were kids and they fucking made it, and then to have to hear that, man, that's I hate when people have to feel like that, man. Like that hurts.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%.
But I hear you. Yeah.
I think that I do feel the heaviness of it in some instances, but I also feel like I'm really loving the journey of it, because I feel like it's this is such a weird analogy, but you remember how that game where you'd be like, okay, you have to teach somebody how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and there was so many steps in between that you didn't realize that you needed to say because you go so much off instinct.
Yeah.
Well, to me, this album, it keeps hitting the stuff in between that we don't normally hear about, and he's really getting down into the detail of him stopping at the church, and then after that, not hearing it, because you don't always hear something. You don't always get your answers when you go to pray. Prayer, it's not a magic trick. It doesn't get us instantly what we want. Sometimes the answers come. Sometimes shit gets real clear, and sometimes it's not. And just like hearing like, okay, this is real. That's raw. When you're in that situation, and then all of a sudden you're in this, and now, you don't have any answers. You went to he did the right thing. He went to the church. You know what I mean? He tried to pray. He didn't hear anything. Then he ends up out on the street. It's just like, I don't know, man. Like, I just appreciate the levels of detail that we're getting into, and the conversations that are coming out of it, I think, are not just all dark either. So I think it's been a really interesting stream. Like, it's had it took on a thing of its own.
Holy shit.
What?
Okay. This is a guy that killed him. Okay. He did like 10 years for vehicular manslaughter. And then again, arrested September 17, 2013 for the same shit. Driving with license canceled, suspended, or revoked.
Yeah, but he wasn't.
This guy. This guy.
He wasn't drinking at that point. He was just, they revoked his license and he was still driving.
Unbelievable.
He was a teacher?
He was a teacher. The guy that did this, he was a teacher.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it needs to be really serious. I would have thrown the books at him for that. Driving without a license. You were not supposed to be on the road. I would have given him another friggin' 10 years for that.
He went off to be a teacher. Like, he went on with his life, got out of jail, and became a teacher. Yeah, I'm going to be obsessing about this guy for a very long time, because I'm just trying to like make some connection to some sort of meaning, because it just looks like this guy hasn't learned from anything at all. Anyway, holy shit.
He might not have been the student in that situation.
Huh?
He might not have been the target student in that situation.
Yeah. What a deep freaking band. Holy shit. Tomorrow, guys, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This song was a 9.8 for me. This band is this album, consistently top to finish, is one of the most lyrically dense, sonically dense. There's a lot of things to pick apart with this band, because that singer's so dynamic. Like, I know we just spent a bunch of time boo-hooing about the guitarist. That's because I'm a guitarist. But that singer, he's unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely.
And, people keep using the word underrated.
Yeah.
For this band, 100%. This band is absolutely... People should be... This singer, I don't even know the guy's name, but people should be talking about him. I mean, we'll have to hear more songs. Maybe he just got lucky on this record.
Well, remember,
but I doubt
he said the first half of the record has like this really theatrical orchestra sound to it.
Right.
And then the second half is not going to be like that. So I'm like loving the first half of it so much that I'm like, what is going to be the second half? Are we still going to think that this is amazing?
Yeah,
or does that,
it's just
change a lot?
The different places where this guy goes sonically with his voice. Like on the one hand, he's just grimy and gutter, and then the next thing, it's smooth as butter, and then it's technically sound, and he's hitting notes, and that singer, like I said, I've never heard of this guy as a singer. Like, people should be raving about this dude. Like, there's
definitely underrated.
That guy is a problem. That singer is a real fucking problem, that guy. So, yeah, I'm very, very excited. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. I gave this a 9.8. What'd you give this song?
And 9.8 as well.
Really, really, really good song. Really, really good song.
All of my scores
Middle Earth
gave
it a 10.
9.8 except for the one song.
Thank you guys for hanging out and having this discussion with us and
tomorrow.
helping us think this shit through together. I really, really love this community. It's nights like this. Like, you get the medal, you get the friendship with the community.
But tonight felt like therapy.
It did, and then Mojo was like, "Damn, I wish Middle Earth was here." So I'm like, "Yo, Middle Earth!" I was able to text him. I got Amy in here. We're just. It's just like, this is what it's about. This is what it's about. This is what it's about. Okay. Thanks, guys. We will see you guys same back time, same back channel tomorrow. Mojo stream. Freaking Middle Earth. Middle Earth isn't involved in the stream. I just want to say that's my buddy. And this band right here, guys, and this vocalist and this guitarist, rest in peace. I promise you guys, I won't be a downer tomorrow. I'll be able to reconcile myself to the big homie's death, and then I'll be in a more chipper mood, inshallah. Okay, much love to you guys. Vin out.
Sori out.
Go.